All right, welcome everyone. How's everyone doing today? Dark Ray, I see you. I follow you. Can you follow me back? You know what, bro? I got you. I got you right now. There you go, friend. There's a follow. Do with that what you will. I hope you have a good rest of your night. You stay in the stream. Stay tuned if you can. Gonna be a 65% keyboard build. And of course, Jay and Alicia already getting into it. Because when are they not? I'm his number one fan. That's a. Can I have a follow too? Yeah, I'll unfollow you just to refollow. I'll remove my sub too. Let's see. I'm getting Discord notifications now. What's happening? Oh, there it is. Oh my god, wait, the Me6 one worked, Jay.
What?
Yeah,
Are you sure you're not paying for it?
I am. His middle name
You are?
is. I mean, I'm not.
Oh,
Like, I'm not
sure?
paying for it.
Okay.
But anyways, hey everyone.
Interesting.
Shout out to Dark Ray, latest follower currently. Get your follow up. Join me in here. And let's get right into it. So I hop over to the over the shoulder cam. Here we have the Ikki68 Aurora. Jay is my number one fan. Oh my god, stop. I'm gonna make a number one fan emote for both of you. You guys can battle it out however you choose. Get the
Let's
mic
go.
out of frame. How's everyone doing tonight? Jay, how are you doing tonight, friend?
I'm doing pretty good, honestly. Work wasn't too bad today.
We love to hear it. We
Pretty
love to
smooth.
hear it.
We do.
If anyone wants to give my man a follow, he'll be streaming later. That's Brown Bandit J in chat. Hop in chat. Let me know how you're feeling tonight. I want to know where everyone's at tonight. Oh my god, the ghosty in the cut. Yes. Yes. You know I had to do it to him.
Oh, you know what? I can get you another viewer.
So here we go. Here's the keyb itself. So Ikki68, I believe this is either poly or acrylic. I'll have to double check. Some form of plastic. It's gonna have a really deep, talky tone, especially with all the sound deadening. It's gonna be a very muted, hopefully very talky tone. I have some lubed NK tactile creams. Whereas there you go, NK cream tactiles. Pasta biceps. God damn it, not pasta biceps. So we got the top case half. Right, here's where, if anyone hasn't seen an Ikki68 before, there's going to be a little badge that goes here. It's actually right here, this little gold rectangle. That's going to go right there. And it's going to set itself off pretty well against, if I take out the case, the plate. If I take out the plate gummy, you can see here this weight. So this is the internal weight for the keyboard. It's meant to add some mass since it's just plastic, and you can see the cool design. Kind of just looks like Egypt at night. See a bunch of pyramids, see the moon, see some trees. I don't think there were ever trees in Egypt, so I don't know what the fuck this is supposed to be, but you know what? It looks cool as shit. And it's a very nice attention to detail piece that I'm glad they put on. And other than that, you've got more silicone right here on the inside. That's what this base is pretty much all is. And then we're going to have the weight on it. We're going to move that over. Inside the rest of the packaging, inside the rest of the packaging, this will not be used because this is a dampener that would be used in place of the weight in case you didn't buy the weight, as the weight was an extra option. Otherwise, in the rest of the case, honestly, I couldn't tell you. I'd have to weigh it. I'd have to weigh it myself. I actually don't know how many grams it is, but it's brass, so it's hefty. Here we have our plate. Let's go through it. This is a polycarbonate plate. It's going to be very flexible. Again, it's going to contribute to that really nice muted sound. And it's pretty much just going to give us a really thocky keyboard, assuming that the lubing was done correctly. I did not lube these myself. These were given to me lubed. So let's hope they did a decent job.
I'll lube you.
Hey, yo. So we're going to start initially. So this is going to be, this is the PCB right here, and there's actually a hot swap PCB. So if I whip this out real quick.
Have your stream open and back?
All right. Yeah. Here's the PCB. So Iceland for Ikki68 Aurora, the name of the studio. And then on the back, we're going to see all the hot swap sockets. So I believe these are all Kale. Yeah, these are all Kale. #1 stream on Twitch. That's what we like to hear, baby. #1 keyboard
Honestly,
streamer on the East Coast. Get at it.
I really like how that looks.
Me too. Yeah, the PCB is very beautifully designed and everything all together. I mean, it's weird to look at a PCB and think this is aesthetically pleasing, but it really is aesthetically pleasing.
It is.
Flat black PCB and everything that you need is there. For now, we're going to put the PCB aside and we're going to use this initially, but what I need to do first is actually lube our stabilizers. So as part of this build, for anyone who isn't familiar with mechanical keyboards, as I usually do gaming streams, on bigger keys, such as your spacebar, your backspace, your enter key, those usually require what is referred to as a stabilizer, and I'll show you one of those right now. So if I grab my TX stabilizer set, open this boy up, you're going to see inside that there's a bunch of wires and plastic ends on each side. So this is referred to as a stabilizer, and the point of it is to stabilize longer keys so that they don't wobble when you're pressing them down. One thing about a stabilizer, though, is that because you have essentially metal and plastic touching each other, and depending on how fast you're pressing your keys, they're kind of doing a lot of actuations at once. There's a lot of play and a lot of rattle in it. And so that's not something you really want to hear in a keyboard. And if I were to actually test this out real quick, let me see if I can give a demonstration. We're gonna grab our plate
for you.
So, oh, because you have the Razer keyboard.
Yeah.
If you want to hear rattle and clack and disgusting keyboard noises, get a Razer keyboard. That's my recommendation.
Terrible.
They're not terrible, but they're not great.
No, because I have the mecha membrane one, so it's not the worst.
Oh yeah.
It's not the best.
So I'll show you guys here. So on the spacebar section, on this bottom section here, you're gonna see two other sets of holes. One here, one here. That is for your stabilizer. Now, if I were to put this in, let me put this on. So then there's the top hole, which is the bigger one. That is where this little hook is gonna go in at the top. So hook that in there. Hook that in on the other side as well. And then typically with stabilizers, you would actually screw these in, but the way that TX stabs work is that they're clip-in. So they have these little teeth here that clip into the PCB, so I just have to press down. Ooh, that fell out. Clip it there and there. And the tabs should press in. Jesus Christ, these are stiff as hell. There we go. One side in, as you can see, the teeth there just kind of protruded through the PCB. And now they're on the other side. Now I just got to repeat on the other side. If I could just get the dang things in. Damn, this plastic is stiff. I don't know what TX be doing with these. Really hard to get.
I'm trying to figure out why your viewer number only says 3 instead of 4.
Yeah, it is what it is. The viewer number has always been inconsistent for me. And so just to give you guys a demonstration, I am going to put on our plate here. And then we're going to put a switch in between. Well, we're going to put a switch into the PCB. We open this up, grab an NK cream. Relatively quiet switch. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear that. Can you hear that?
A little bit.
My noise gate might stop that, but let's put this switch in here.
Do you have filters over your OBS as well, or just?
It's just my noise gate. I don't have any filters.
Okay. The first few clicks I heard. Oh, now we're up to 4 viewers.
Thank you to all 4 of you watching. I appreciate you very much. It means the world to me. Right now, this is for anyone who just might have stopped by. I am currently just trying to demonstrate what a stabilizer does, as well as how it sounds when it's not lubed, because we're gonna be lubing these stabilizers tonight. For anyone who's, again, not familiar with the whole keyboard thing, which is why I'm doing this demonstration in the first place, you typically want to lube any contact points on your switch itself, which is this little guy that you press in that actually performs the electrical connection that tells your computer, hey, he touched something. As well as your stabilizers, which hold the larger keys as they move up and down. Because if not, you end up with a situation of sustained rattle, and it's not pleasant for anyone.
Also, feel free to ask questions, because most likely if you have a question, everybody else here does too.
Yeah.
Including me.
And I probably have an answer. And I'll try my best to answer any that I can. And if I can't, well, I'll refer to you to people that can. There are definitely a lot of resources online when it comes to mechanical keyboard building, and it's definitely gotten more popular now. You see a lot more mainstream brands starting to lube their switches and their stabilizers and trying to really appeal a little bit to the keyboard enthusiasts of the world, because it really has grown from a relative niche to like a kind of decently sized market. Like you can, you know, like formally when it comes to keyboard building, things like this, you know, I mean, this is still the system now, but it's a little bit more mainstream in sense of like the ordering process. But typically you would go through what is called a group buy, where a bunch of people promise to buy something and they put down their money, and they give it to the vendor, and then you wait months, sometimes years, and then eventually get the product, because to secure manufacturing, they have to secure what are essentially pre-orders first, and then they bring the money to the manufacturer and say, hey, build me this. Manufacturer builds it, ships to the customer. But nowadays we have a lot of in-stock options, and that's not something that was always available, at least not even 2-3 years back. It's amazing to see. If anyone were to really enjoy sort of this idea and really look at it and be like, okay, I want to customize that piece on my desk, then it's definitely probably one of the best times to get into the hobby, just in general. And you don't have to spend a lot of money anymore. Like, the keyboard snob in me wants to say spend a lot of money, but you don't necessarily have to. There are certain brands and things that people tend to cling to as they're sort of like the top quality approach. So we have Kale switches. For an example, on my main keyboard, these black keycaps, just a piece of plastic. These are GMK keycaps. This is GMK Dark. And then this isn't really the best keyboard ever, but it does cost a decent amount. This is I believe it's a Godspeed 75. Don't recommend it, but if you're into polycarbonate 75%, it's not the worst option out there, if it's even still in stock, because that used to be a Key.co item, and I don't know if that's still in production at all. But that aside, we've got some stability now. We've got the keycaps together, so now I'm going to rip off my spacebar from my main keyboard without making too many sounds. Put it on this one. Oh, this is a 6U spacebar. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, sorry, so this won't work. Give me 1 second, guys.
What do you need?
So, one thing about keyboards is that different length keycaps have a different number of units. A regular single keycap, such as your arrow keys or any of your letter or punctuation or number keys, they're what are referred to as 1U. Most spacebars in the space are 6.25U, or 6.25 units. That's what this spacebar is. This spacebar, if I recall correctly, let me get the box from the TX tabs. Where did I put it? Yeah, this is I believe this is just a 6U, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check. Let me go grab another keycap set, and I will be right back. Well, you guys will be able to see me actually in the webcam.
In the meantime, I'll do some ASMR for you guys. Ignore that tweet from Melvin's share. That was not ASMR at all. Hope you guys like the sound of plastic crinkling in your ears as I speak to you. Sorry, I'm gonna stop.
So I got the rest of my GMK Dark set here, and let's see if this spacebar works. Because if it does, then that would imply that this is a 6.25 unit, and my keyboard is actually a 7U, I believe. But it's been so long since I built it that I don't actually remember.
Question, Elvin, that I'm sure a few other people will probably have. Do you plan on doing commissions in the future for keyboards?
That's an interesting one. I'd want to I would love to do that, especially for, I mean, if anyone really wants it but doesn't really want to go through the hassle of building themselves, I'd absolutely love to. Um, it's more of a matter of am I gonna be happy with my quality of building, right? Because I've done this for a while. I would consider myself experienced, but do I consider myself experienced enough to where I'd be proud enough to say, give me your money? And I think that the keyboard builds I currently have going are definitely going to help with that. So in the near future, I'm hoping to, but as of currently, no. And now I will try to demonstrate the sound of a spacebar without any sort of lubrication on the stabilizer.
Very clicky.
Yeah, very clicky, very rattly, very uncomfortable. For context, let me grab my main keyboard. I love that little blue heart. I got my main keyboard. This is lubed. It's not my best job, but it's also about 3 years old of a build now. So if I were to, you can still hear a little bit of rattle on the left side. It isn't nearly as pronounced, I'd say. But being that this will be a fresh lube job on these stabilizers, we should be able to get an adequate, an adequate level of lubrication on these stabilizers. As I remove all the components and take us back to a bare PCB. So since this is what is referred to as a hot swap keyboard, which for anyone who isn't acquainted, there are two types of keyboard PCBs currently out there on the market. There is hot swap and there is solder. Now, hot swap, as the name would imply, means that you can swap switches out very easily just using some sockets. Whereas solder would mean that you would put the switch into a hole, but it's essentially just a hole, and then you would solder together the connections and it would be a permanent connection. You wouldn't be able to remove the switches easily without removing the solder from the joints, as Jay loves to create a giant octopus in chat. But today's stream, I should probably, oh, there it is in the corner. You guys are funny. I'll put chat over here. There we go. Not the Dorito. Not the Dorito. But yeah, so as we're going to get back into this, as everyone heard that little rattly mess, we're going to move over and take these stabilizers out. And after removing them, we're going to lubricate them. I'm going to show you just how to do that. All right, so PCB, I'm going to put it back into the anti-static bag just as a measure of protection against EMI or electromagnetic. I'm fucking bugging. Oh my God. ESD, electrostatic discharge. I almost said electromagnetic interference. That definitely has nothing to do with this.
Mans ain't wearing rubber gloves.
I'm not wearing rubber gloves. I'm not isolated. I'm fucking destroying everything. But if I were to get all of this out the way for now. As I mentioned before, any keys larger than a single unit are going to be requiring stabilizers. So that is spacebar, enter, backspace, and then your left shift. And then in some cases, right shift, but that depends on the size of keyboard. And I guess that brings me quickly into the next topic of keyboard sizes. You're going to notice as we build this Ikki68, it's smaller than my keyboard here. My keyboard here is referred to as a 75%, which is defined as letter, numbers, spacebar, regular typing, which would be 40%, plus arrow keys, plus a full set of function keys. I have F1 through 12, as well as print, lock, screen, and pause. Whereas a 65% is essentially a 75, but you remove the F row. So everything else, bar, I believe, insert, and delete will be removed. But for the most part, all other keys will stay versus a 75 to a 65. So if I were to get some space here, we're going to get our stabilizers now. The stabilizer is comprised of 3 components. So you have the outer housing, you have the wire itself. This is the inner housing right here. And then I don't know what exactly is the technical term for this, but I'm just referring to it as the plunger. This is the section that actually holds the wire and actually moves up and down inside the housing. And so when you think about it from a physics point of view, what do you have rubbing together? You have a plunger inside of a housing moving up and down with a wire inside of it. So what are your connection points that you're going to want to lube? They're going to be the housing, between the housing and the plunger, as well as between the wire and the plunger. And those are basically the main points where you get your rattle effect and where you really want to minimize that. So we're going to get this, we're going to get that. Let me get my lube supply. So we have some brushes here. Grab a brush, grab our lube. In this case, I'll be using a special kind of Krytox Ikki68. This is a very thick lube that's used for stabilizers. It's a little bit easier than other lubes because other lubes tend to be thinner and you tend to need to use a lot more to sort of get the same effect versus using a thicker lube. And so let's get all that. Let's get all that. Move that aside, and let me get the rest of my stabilizers because we're gonna need to do for an Ikki68 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 3 2U and then the one 6.25. So there's our 6.25. We're gonna reopen the stabilizer package and grab our 2U's. So there's 1, 2, and 3.
Question for Elvin. Has your Twitch name always been Evo_Elvin, or did you change it to that?
You're a dick.
I am?
Yes, because you know exactly.
That's a genuine question.
Is it? Because you know my original name.
Do I?
Don't you, Minecraft boy?
Oh. I completely forgot. Did you ever update your Discord connections when you changed the name? Because I don't think it's picking up that you're streaming right now.
I think I disabled streamer mode, that's why.
I don't think you have to have streamer mode on. But like, I mean, like, so usually when you're streaming on Twitch, if somebody clicks on your profile on Discord, it shows them that you're streaming and links them to your stream as well.
Interesting. That's something I'm gonna have to look into then.
Yes.
By all means. So, have our brush, have our lube here. We're gonna open this up. Now, the lube is gonna get on your hands most likely one way or another. So good luck with dealing with that. XHT-BDZ is one that's especially annoying. But you just grab some lube. I like to spread it around on the cap a little bit. And then we just start putting it. So because the plunger is going inside this hole here from the bottom, you want to do the inner walls. Hey, Joey. What's up? We just got started on the actual build itself. We're lubing, Jesus. We are just getting to lubing these stabilizers. So we got some XHT-BDZ from Krytox, and we're going in on the inner housing here. You don't need too much. XHT-BDZ, no matter how much you apply or how little you apply, it's gonna look like you coated the entire surface just because how thick it is. Just a small amount, just enough to coat the surface, because the plastic on plastic isn't really where you're gonna get most of your rattle. It's typically the wire itself that's gonna contribute most of that rattling noise that we're trying to eliminate in the first place. So yeah, so I'm just lining the inner walls real quick. All right, there's one. Right, and then let's do both housings. Get a little bit more on there. So I'm gonna lube these one stab at a time, which basically means I'm going to completely assemble one and then move on to the next. That way it keeps the desk organized and it minimizes the chance of you getting a lot of lube on your hands. You do this a long time. I sponsored this stream. Yes, he did. This man, that is our client. That is who is we're building this for. And we have quite a few other builds lined up. I'm hoping to get them done within the, well, I think I need to get 2 done by this weekend, but I have some more that I'd hope to get through during the next coming weeks. I want to schedule this to a point where I'm doing Tuesday night gaming streams, you know, playing Apex with yours truly, Brown Bandit J, in chat, as well as probably CSGO and Valorant, and then Thursdays to be keyboard build streams. And so right now we're just working on stabilizers. Again, just a light coat on the inner side of the housing, and you'll see why you don't necessarily want to put too much later on, especially with XHTBDZ, considering how thick it is. Less is more when it comes to the game of lubing. Less is definitely more. Justin, any more questions in regards to mechanical keyboards or myself? And to answer your previous question, actually, I used to be Ikki68 on all platforms, and then after that it was Ikki68 Streams Games, and then some variation of that name once or another, and then eventually I got to Evo, because Ikki68 seemed rather. As I grew up, I was just like, well, I don't think that name really suits me anymore from an adulthood standpoint, I guess is a good way to put it. And so, what are these filters on your voice right now? I can't understand what you're saying. Going to start playing Valorant. Well, it's like Overwatch and CS. And Joe, since you played CS Source, you would know how that's gonna play out. And you played Overwatch for a little bit. All right. So now that we've got a housing and a stem lubed, I put them together, and this is one half of a stabilizer. All right, we're gonna put that there. And next,
Okay, I think we're back to normal.
Yeah, we are. And next, we're gonna do the wire. Again, this is where you really want to, like, I'm putting on too much, all things considered, but the whole less is more principle kind of goes away with the wire, because the wire is where you're gonna see a majority of your rattle. This is where you really, really want to make sure that all portions that are touching the inner housing, as well as the stem. I mean that's what it's called. It's the housing and the stem of the stabilizer. Any portion that is in the stem or touching the outer housing when it clips in, you want to make sure is adequately lubricated so you don't end up with a rattly mess, because that is exactly what we don't want. So that is
actually just pain.
Pretty much at this point. The thing about this lube is that it's so thick that it really is just practically paint. Now this is going to be hard to demonstrate, so I'm going to try to get up real close on the camera here. So you're going to notice that the stem, if you see there's a center divider, and there's a top hole and a bottom hole on the stem. You're going to put the rod through the bottom hole. So if I try to demonstrate this here live, let me see if I can get a good angle on this. Guys. I'm going to put it through that bottom hole. Doing this through a camera is actually possible. Okay. Get it in. Wise question. All right, there we go. It's through the bottom hole. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see that. Focus camera. So bottom hole. And once it's in the bottom hole, you're going to clip it in right.
So traditionally, this is going to be mounted on the keyboard already, right?
Yeah, traditionally, if you buy a pre-built keyboard, this is already going to be mounted, and it's typically not going to be lubricated. So if you ever are pressing on your spacebar and you're like, damn, that's really, really rattly, then you might want to look towards removing your stabilizers and either changing them or lubing them. And right now I'm just adding a little bit more lube because a lot of it came off when I was putting this into the stem. And then you're going to hear a click. I don't know if it'll actually pick up in the mic, but once you're pressing down, there you go, it clicks in. You guys are able to hear that. And that's how you know that your wire is correctly seated into the stabilizer. All right, so now that's one half of our stabilizer done. Add a little bit of a skim coat here just to make sure everything is still lubed. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the other half and then connect the two. And then this way, hopefully, minimizes the amount of lube I get on my hands. So
can we take a second to appreciate how clean this man's mouse pad is?
A white mouse pad is not easy to keep clean. That's all I gotta say.
That's what I'm saying. This man is rocking the white mouse pad and actually keeping it clean. I could never.
Yeah. It's an amazing mouse pad too. Honestly, I bought it initially for design, and I looked into it. This is the Aqua Control Plus by X-Ray Pad. It is a genuine control pad with a decently rough texture, and it's perfect for people who, like me, are arm aimers. Where you use a lot of arm movement for your flicks and stuff. You don't really use your wrist. So control is especially important there. Because with arm movements, you know, there's a lot less, I don't want to say calibration, but you know, when you're using your wrists, it's a little bit easier to sort of get that control because you're using the leverage of the table to really control your movements and make them a little bit more fine. Whereas arm movements can be a lot more erratic, essentially. And it's gonna be hard to see, but again, that's a lubed stem now. The camera will pick me up. Camera! So it's hard to see because these stems are already white, but I completely coated all sides. And now we just drop it in. There's an orientation to this, you can't get it wrong. And that's based on this little tab in the bottom, in the top left, that little block. It basically makes it impossible to put it in wrong because you're gonna see that the stem has a key that matches it. So right there, right, this nail, you're gonna see that corner. Yeah, that corner lines up with this block, and that is how you get the plunger in, and you can't mess it up. So dunk that in. All right, and now that it's in, all we gotta do is put the wire in on the other side. So plunger in there, and then we are going to quickly add lube to the other side of our wire. Again, just kind of going ham with this, and I already got lube on my fingers. Great. Kind of going ham with this just because wire rattle no bueno, and it really kind of kills the custom keyboard experience when you're done and all you hear is a bunch of rattle. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lube all the stabilizers and then we're gonna test them before we actually assemble the full keyboard.
Hands grabbed the lube and said that he has lube on his fingers.
Literally.
I'll be
Listen,
back momentarily. My mom wants me to order some pizzas.
take your time. Make sure that it's good pizza.
I was gonna say I'm gonna order Papa John's, but they're not Papa John's. Hungry Howie's, but apparently you guys don't have that up there.
No idea what that is. That's some real Florida-ish right there. Never heard of it.
When you guys come down, I'll get you some. It's pretty
Say
good pizza.
less. So we're just gonna add a generous amount of lube. Make sure that, again, our wire is coated on all sides, and hopefully that minimizes our rattle. Now we're gonna test the stabilizers, and we're gonna go back and we're gonna add more lube as needed. But your hope here is to get as much of it done as possible. And here we have our completed housing and lubricated stem. And rinse and repeat from the other side. Enter the wire on the bottom hole of the stem. Right, do that, and then we're gonna clip it into the base of the housing of the stabilizer. These are tight tolerances. Ooh, there we go. And that's a spacebar stabilizer completed. Now we're gonna do that 3 more times for enter, backspace, and then left shift, which is all the way over here. I'm using this isolator that's going to go in between the plate and the keyboard itself to help me remember which stabilizers we actually need, because not all keyboards need the same amount of stabilizers based on the size of the keyboard. We went over keyboard sizes earlier, and if anyone has any questions, by all means, pop it into chat. This is a lot of information I'm throwing at you guys relatively quickly, and I don't expect everyone to pick it up that fast, and that's okay. This took me, I'd say, a better part of a year to really get right. It all started with I really wanted a one of the Razer optomechanical keyboards, and I was really looking into it, and then I fell onto a Teha Types video where he was reviewing that, and Teha Types, for anyone who isn't initiated, is a custom keyboard builder as well as enthusiast, based out in SoCal, I believe, and that kind of started me on the rabbit hole. He was just like, yeah, it's not good. You know, stabs aren't lubricated and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, what is he talking about? And then that started me down this path. And now I'm here with my custom building keyboards for my brother. And that's kind of that on that story. And now I just did this housing, put that there. Now I'm going to do this stem. Again, we're not trying to go too crazy with the lube, especially for BDZ on the plastic components. With how thick it is, you don't want to make your stabilizer slow. If you put too much lube, it'll cause too much friction between the components to the point where your stabilizer will actually be slow to actuate up and down. And so to prevent that, we're just kind of putting a skim coat. Another way to go about this is using a thinner lube, such as a Crytox 205 grade 0 or a Tribosis 3203. both of which I actually have, but I'm not using for the sake of time, really. SXT BDZ, although not a lot of people's favorites because of the difficulties of using it, I particularly like it because if you can get it right, which I'm hoping I do, no promises. If you get it right, you're saving a lot of time versus using the thinner lubes and really troubleshooting and making sure that you get the right amount, and then you have it all in the right places. So that side's done. We're gonna plop that in there. Oh, okay, put that in backwards. Whoops. One thing that would save you in terms of lube and getting lube on your fingers, besides the obvious of wearing gloves, would be to actually be using pliers for this, which a lot of people do. But I am a sucker for pain, you know? I just love covering myself in fucking thick-ass keyboard switch lube, because that's lovely. I wonder if anyone has actually used BDZ in key switches. That would be an interesting thing to note. All right, so that stem and housing are done. We're gonna add to the wire again, and we're just gonna rinse and repeat. And you know, while we're going through these relatively, I don't know what the word is, remedial tasks, redundant, repetitive, I just hope that you guys are having a good night. I appreciate you stopping by and sort of chilling on the stream, hanging out with me tonight, as we just go through something chill, something calm. And speaking of which, I forgot to do this. Whoops. Wrong audio source. So now we got the lo-fi rocking in the back as we continue slowly working our way towards a completed keyboard. Once things will ramp back up in pacing once I'm done with these stabilizers, being that this is a hot swap keyboard, it'll just be a matter of popping in the switches, adding the accessories, and screwing the thing back together, and then we're done. And so tonight's going to be a relatively quick stream in terms of keyboard building, that is. In the future, I'll be building more comprehensive builds. I'll be doing solder builds, and larger keyboards as well. So we're going to add a little bit more complexity there, some more stabilizers, and things are going to pick up. I will probably continue using pre-lubed switches because lubing switches alone can take several hours. But I think I'll keep lubing stabilizers on stream, and that way streams aren't too quick, because honestly this is most of the battle. Once this is done, it's just plug it in and go. And so there's one half of the stabilizer done. Again, we're going to rinse and repeat bottom hole of the plunger and then clip in. All right, now we're clipping in and we go in. God damn. Tight ass tolerance. I see why everybody likes these TX stabs. They are the tightest I've ever fucking had the pleasure of using. Jesus Christ. I'm removing all the lube trying to press this in. There we go. And that was a loud snap. That wasn't even a click. And now I'm just adding some residual lube over top. It's a little bit messy, but what's necessary to make sure that we don't have any serious rattle on our contact points. Okay, and move on to the second half of this same stabilizer. So we're going to do the next housing and stem. So, and just put some interior there. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's legitimate friction when I'm applying this on the housings and actually on all the components. And that's why I keep stressing the fact that less is more. If you apply too much, your stabilizer isn't going to want to move up and down. It's going to want to stay where it is, and it's going to be really sluggish. So that's why adding too much is a little bit of a risk factor there, and why I'm trying not to essentially overdo it with the paintbrush here. And if we need to, we'll add more. There's a few other tactics I'm going to show you guys later. In the case that, because I don't think these are going to be perfect first try. It rarely is. Unless you've built, you know, hundreds of keyboards, you really get a feel for it. But I don't have that type of experience, and so we're going to be learning together. All right, so the inner walls of the housing are lubed. Typically with XHTBDZ, which is this really thick lube for anyone who's popping in right now, and anyone who is popping in, I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate you watching. Tonight's a relatively chill thing, something that's different for me, and I'm hoping to make a main fixture of the channel just because as much as I love gaming, I also love custom keyboards. I own a few myself, and I'm getting to build some for my older brother, so it's a bit of a treat for me. Just something laid back, something to do on a Thursday night, and just a way to spend some time. And let's get that done. Add some lube on the inner side where the actual wire touches the inner housing, and then we put it into the housing right now. Oop, dropped it. All right, stem into housing, done, and then other half of that wire, let's get it. We really hope that everyone otherwise is having a really good night, sort of just chilling, having a good time. I know I am. This is, I don't know what you guys have in terms of like cleaning or reading a book or meditating or what it is, but for me this is really that kind of like therapy instance, because I do like to clean and stuff, but remedial tasks that are using my hands in a technical way, such as these keyboard builds, or for me building computers as well, I do love a good PC build. They definitely do add that therapy aspect of like, this is something I know like the back of my hand. I can sort of do it kind of on autopilot, and it's just relaxing, it's just chill. And if you don't have that, I hope you find what that is for you, because it's definitely nice to have that whenever you just need to kind of just tune out everything else and just do something that you know how to do and just get at it. Even if it isn't, again, there's reading books, there's watching a comfort show, there's cleaning, there's a number of things that you could do that has that same therapy effect, but it doesn't necessarily have to be with your hands. But I hope you find it if you don't already know it.
I have returned.
What's up, Chief?
Pizza has been ordered and I got myself a bev.
We love to hear. We can't have pizza with no bev. All right, so now that this is in there, we're gonna clip it in. This is the other half of the stabilizer. We're gonna clip it into the housing. Damn, housings are so tight.
You're using a very interesting set of words today.
Hey, yo. My hands are covered in lube and these housings are tight. There we go. It's in, finally.
Shout out to the concurrent 6 viewers we got in here.
Hey, 6 of you. That is probably the highest amount of concurrent views I've had in a while, and I very much appreciate it. We're trying to average 3 a stream. I'm hoping to make affiliate and match my man Justin here. If you haven't already, he's in chat, Brown Bandit J. Go over to his Twitch channel, go subscribe. He's affiliate now, so he has subscriptions enabled. You know your boy here is a founder subscriber, 2 months going now, and
Much appreciated.
he definitely deserves it. He's nasty at Apex, and if you're into FPSs, he's definitely your kind of guy. He's also got a TikTok and Instagram, everything associated. Go check out his Twitch channel. You'll be able to find his social links. He's definitely someone that has been doing a lot in terms of motivating me to get back into this space, as I've really been slacking.
Hey, I appreciate it, Elvin.
Yeah, he's definitely the homie, and he deserves
We
it.
got you. We're gonna get you affiliate.
Yes, sir, all of you, and I appreciate every single one of you stopping by. I'm sure there's a lot of other things you could think of doing on a Thursday night, but you're here watching me build a keyboard, so that's what's up. So we have 2 stabilizers done now. This is our 6.25U. Is going to be our space bar, and then this is a 2U. This is either going to be our enter, our backspace, or our left shift in this case. And it doesn't really matter. They're all the same size, so you can be indiscriminate with it. And yeah, we'll just keep keeping on. All right, grabbing some more lube, putting it on the inner housing here. Again, for anyone who might be tuning in, since we have 6 concurrent now, let me move the mic over. I'm going to try to demonstrate what I'm doing here. So if you can see here, if it'll focus on me, please. Focus. Focus, focus, focus. There we go. So on this inner housing, there are walls here where the actual stem of the stabilizer will be moving up and down. And inside of these walls is where you just want to apply some lube. You see how it's kind of looking milkier now that I've applied the lube. Essentially what I'm doing on both sides, just applying a good amount of lube. Not doing too much, because if you do too much, you're actually going to slow down the rate at which your stabilizer moves, and you don't want sticky space bars. You don't want sticky any keys, but especially a sticky space bar. That's your jump key. That's kind of important, you know, I would think so. So just a thin coat of this really thick Crytox lube. This is referred to as Ikki68 BDZ for anyone who would want to get it themselves. Will it focus? There you go. Ikki68 BDZ. Oh, and also for those watching, if you have any particular questions, concerns, anything you want to know about custom keyboards or me or streaming or video games, or I don't know, any sort of topic that we sort of relate to on here, you know, I'm a gamer, I'm a graphic designer, I'm a software engineer, I'm a keyboard builder, I'm a PC technician. Any questions you guys got, by all means, I'm here to answer. Spend some time. You're already here spending the time with me, so might as well interact if you can. Appreciate it, and let's keep it going. I'm gonna need to hit up Nay next for emotes.
Up in line, buddy, old pal.
Yeah, I know she's busy, especially now that she's been proposed to. Also, I don't know if she's in here, but if she's in, whether she is or isn't, but my friend Skylar, aka Nico, met her on Minecraft like 10 years ago. She's engaged now. Like, internet friends is a hell of a drug, bro. I swear. Congrats to her. Congrats to her significant other, as I'm actually not sure who she's proposed to, but she's engaged with. Sorry, I should say. But
I do believe she was the one who proposed. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she was the one.
Interesting. Well, I don't know who her partner is, but congrats to them, and I hope that the wedding is successful and they're happy, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
Here's to a very happy and prosperous relationship for them.
Yeah. Crazy, man. We're old.
We are, dude. It's getting there.
Yeah. It's crazy, you know, you think about it, it's just like we're just like middle schoolers just playing Minecraft, and now we're at an age where marriage is normal. That's crazy.
It's crazy to think about. But I'm sure in the perspective of others, we're still youngins.
Oh yeah, the client here, my oldest brother, he's got a few kids himself, he's married. I'm sure we all look like guppies to him at this point.
Hey, what really matters is that we're enjoying ourselves, right?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter what age you are, so long as you're having a good time, or at least trying to.
Exactly.
And Justin, before you hopped in, I don't know if you were listening, I was talking about having sort of therapeutic things that you can sort of rely on to do that kind of like zone you out, because you can sort of do them like the back of your hand. Like, you know, I was talking about keyboard building or PC build, stuff like that really uses my hands, really occupies my brain. And, you know, I just hope that whoever, if you haven't found that for yourself, anybody watching, I hope you do. Because it's a hell of a thing when you don't really have anything else to do and you're like, I know I can to do something that can sort of wind me out. Or if you're ever going through something and you want to clock out, just sort of
I would agree with that.
Put yourself in a sort of trance and just have a good time doing it. You know, we're here. We got the lo-fi hip hop on. We're lubing stabilizer. Like, this is calm. It's nice.
I was not here for that conversation, but
yeah,
I agree. Especially if you deal with a lot of mental health issues and such. Having something like this is, for me personally, my way of getting away from reality and relaxing myself and getting a chance to figure things out.
Yeah, definitely gives you a new perspective. It allows you to sort of step away from whatever situation you're going through. This guy's the Bob Ross of Twitch. Thank you, my love. I appreciate that. I'm trying my best here. You know, pretty little trees. No mistakes, just happy little accidents. and we keep it going. But yeah, and it gives you a good perspective. It gives you something to sort of get away from everything else and then come back, regroup, rethink, and reassess situations that, you know, you might not necessarily want to deal with in the moment. This guy gets shout out to my moderators, Justin, as you can hear him on the live, and then Ishitoye, aka Alicia, two of my biggest supporters as well. And shout out to yourselves, anybody watching. I hear that there's 6 currently. I'm not sure on the current
7, actually.
Wow, 7 of you. I really appreciate that. That's probably the most concurrent viewers I've had in a little while. We're going for an average of 3 in the month as I continue to stream. I'm hoping to reach affiliate, hoping to interact with viewers more, have subscriptions open, and hopefully have perks within that subscription and sort of give you guys, I don't want to say an incentive, because, you know, I'd want you to be here because you want to be here, but give you a reason to stay, essentially, for the long term. You know, I'd like to build a community. Justin over here has been doing a great job of that. If you guys ever want to hop into his stream, hop into his Discord server, and just sort of have a nice little community of people who are interested in a lot of similar things, you know, gaming, PCs, stuff like that. Sort of here for that. And yeah, that was all to say. My long-winded statement was all to say thank you to everyone watching. You know, you guys are the principal reason I keep it going, on top of, you know, my main supporters and like Justin, Alicia, my family. It's very nice to have people in your corner that sort of push you when you can't push yourself. So it's very appreciated, and I hope you guys stick around for as long as you can tonight. I know that it's getting late. Yeah, we got Gigi in here.
Gigi.
Yeah. But yeah. A lot y'all could be doing tonight, and you're here watching me, and for that I'm eternally grateful. So let's keep this going. We've got almost all of our stabilizers done. All that's left, I have one more stabilizer to finish. I'm about to finish the stabilizer, then I have one more after, and that'll be the last one for that we need, I believe, right? Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4 total. Yep. Yeah. All right, so let's get this.
Actually, Elvin, since we were on the topic of building communities and such, do you plan on having ways to interact with your viewers? Because I know you don't have a set Discord for your Twitch.
Yeah, so I plan on having a separate Discord server, and I'm gonna say it again, guys, check out Brown Bandit J on Twitch. He's in chat. He's really a lot of the main inspiration behind me sort of doing this again, because I've definitely not been the best when it comes to motivation or keeping it going, but when you see one of your closest friends sort of doing it, it's like, wow, that's really attainable, and it really helps. And that's all to say, because he also has a Discord server. I plan on having a Discord server for my viewers. Gonna try to keep people there, interact, you know, try to make it a little bit of a community, have people sort of be somewhere where they feel like they can interact with people that are similar to them, that are into the same things as them, even if it's not exactly the same, because like we do believe in dreams over here. Even if it's not the exact same thing, because, you know, not all of you watching right now are into custom keyboards, right? Not all of you really care. You might be here for another reason. You might be here just to watch me. You might be here to give me the view. You might be here because you're a friend of mine. Whatever the reason is, I very much appreciate it. But in that, I'm trying to say that the Discord server that I'm hoping to have for my streams and for my community is to basically have people have a sort of central hub of geeks where they can sort of culminate, and, you know, you can hop in a lobby together, or you could just hop in a Discord call and build something together. Maybe we'll do some Lego build streams in the future. That would not be a bad idea in my opinion. And just people to sort of interact with that you feel like you can connect to in some way that doesn't necessarily have to be on any sort of official basis. People you may,
it's like a safe space.
Exactly. And that's sort of what I'd like to do, and what Justin's been trying to do on his side. And, you know, I appreciate you wanting me as president, Alicia. maybe we'll make that dream come true too, you know? We'll go from Twitch streaming to the fucking White House. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do.
But also on the topic of inspirations and support and motivation, I would like to give you and Alicia both big thanks for everything, because I wouldn't have been able to make it to affiliate without the motivation from you guys and the support. So thank you.
You better stop. I'll start crying.
Bro, you've been talking about my stream in my community all night. I gotta let you know how I feel. Of
I appreciate it. It's all love out here, and that's really
course.
another part of all this. Just keep that going. For anyone who was listening earlier when I was mentioning my friends Skylar and Nay, oh Alicia, Justin's another friend. Met him in middle school online. Don't know who he is. We hated each other's guts. We used to be in a Minecraft server where we were on separate factions, and now he's one of my best friends. I've met him. We've met each other twice now IRL. And it's been a good time. This man literally lives on the opposite side of the United States. And that's fucking crazy to know that video games brought us together and now we're here.
I am so happy that it did too.
Yeah. A lot of things came together in the right place at the right time for this to be our lives now, and it's nice to see, and it's crazy to think about.
It really is, but that's just the way that the world works.
Yep.
I mean, you know, I have a lot of questions about the way the world works, and sometimes I don't like how it does, but in this case, I am so happy that it worked the way that it did.
Yeah, same. Very much same. It couldn't have gone out any better.
No, that's a whole different topic to talk about, Alicia. I like. I don't think I even understand how much anxiety I had the first time that I came up to New York to meet you guys.
Yeah.
But it was something that, you know, I was comfortable. I was happy to do it. You know, before I even planned to go on the trip, I had my own like self-conscious moment where I was like thinking about, should I do this? Like, is this worth it? And I was, you know, I figured it out. But in the moment, I couldn't help it. My mind just was so overwhelmed. But after I actually got to sit down with you guys, it just felt so natural. Like, I was just so happy to be in the moment.
Yeah, when you build that kind of community and that kind of sense of camaraderie over a decade, it's kind of natural for that stuff to flow.
Yes.
Like, it really, we just took a Discord server and made it live at that point when you came.
Yeah, pretty much.
And for anyone who just is tuning in, because I heard we're up to since 7 concurrent, I don't know if we're still at that, whether or not we are. If you're new to this, what I'm currently doing is I'm trying to lubricate stabilizers so that they don't rattle. Stabilizers are pieces that go under your keycaps that hold up the big keys, like your spacebar or your enter or your backspace. And if these aren't properly lubricated, you might end up with a rattling noise that will hurt to listen to, honestly. Because you don't want a fresh keyboard build with all the brand new components and then all you hear is rattle, 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 rattle. Whenever you're pressing a key switch, that kind of stuff will burn and hurt and make you want to not do it anymore. It really can make or break a build, especially if you get it right. But we're going to test these before fully assembling the keyboard, and I'll take you guys through some steps that you can take to lubricate switches after they're installed, stabilizers after they're installed, so that you don't have to fight too much with it or continuously take them out and put them back in. That's why we're doing these all at once, and then we're going to put them into the keyboard. We're going to test them. If they're not good, I'm going to show you guys those methods of lubricating without removal, and we'll take it from there. But yeah, tonight's a good night so far. Very good night. Nice chill stream.
Yeah, you actually just broke an hour there. An hour and 3 minutes.
Wow, officially an hour in. This is going to be going by a lot faster once I actually have these stabilizers in the keyboard. You guys will see, because we're going to be building on a hot swap platform, which basically means that you can remove and add switches at your whim at any moment, because there are sockets that they go into instead of being directly soldered into the keyboard. Then things will go by very quickly. You just got to pop those in, and then that's it. Literally, that's the keyboard. All right. That's one half of the stabilizer, and second half of the final stabilizer that we have to lube. Let's make it count. Justin, you still streaming tonight?
Yes, I plan on starting at around like 9:30.
Okay. You gotta show me how to host, because I don't know how to do that, because I want to host you. And like I mentioned previously, if anyone's into gaming, particularly FPS games such as Apex, Valorant, CSGO maybe, and Smite maybe?
Pretty much anything with a competitive mode.
Yeah, my man is a ranked master. That's all he does. He grinds ranks. He's always been a higher rank than me, and I try my best to catch up.
Except for CS:GO.
Yes, except for CS:GO. That is the one game I have under my belt. But if anyone's into competitive gaming, no matter the genre, make sure to hop over Brown Bandit J. He's in the chat. Friend of mine, great friend of the channel, and just great dude. You know, great stream.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Hey.
You're gonna make me cry, man.
Save the tears for the stream. Make it more dramatic. Pull more people. We're just gonna make a crying stream.
Yes.
Perfect.
I love it.
I'll probably be in his chat later once that we conclude this stream, guys. If you do want to end up hopping over there, I'm gonna be hosting him after this. So you'll technically be automatically over there, but just letting you guys know in advance. What will be happening soon as we make our way on this keyboard build.
I am also open to any suggestions for any games to play as well. The way you get me to play a game is, first, it has to have a ranked mode or a competitive mode. Second is tell me that I can't get a higher rank than you. That is how you get me to play.
His
That's
competitive
why I play
spirit. Yeah, his competitive spirit knows no bounds.
It really doesn't. I can't help it.
Alright, so last wire to manually lube. Then we're going to get these all in the keyboard and start. We're going to get to... it's still technically manual lubing, but some tricks of the trade that you can use to lube stabilizers that are already installed.
I think I had told you in the messages when we were talking about motivation and stuff that part of the reason why I'm so passionate about streaming is because as a kid I was always complimented about my ability to pick up on a game and figure it out really quick. So when I stream and play video games, that's a big part of my motivation and the fire in me to stream is that not necessarily to get the attention for my ability in playing a game, but I don't know, it's just a personal thing. I just feel satisfied. I get to unleash my inner child.
Yeah. I mean, that's another facet that makes this stuff so great, is just being able to sort of express ourselves how we never could before. Because, I mean, think about it. We grew up with the internet in its infancy. We couldn't hop in a Discord call at 11, 12 years old. We hopped in Skype calls, and we played on Minecraft servers that if you didn't know how to port forward, didn't work. Right? We used to pay however much a month for a Minecraft server, or I would host it on my computer, and then I learned how to port forward. I was sort of like, the day I learned how to port forward, I became like everyone's Jesus in terms of Minecraft, because it's just like, you need a server, bro? Elvin got you. And that was really it. And that kind of idea, that kind of passion, that kind of drive to sort of pick shit up and sort of make it work is kind of what made us the kids that we were, and we're able to express that more now. It's a great thing to have. You get
to really be an individual. You can be yourself and do things the way that you want to do it when you're streaming. You don't have to worry about anything, because the people who relate to you are going to be here and chat and talk and watch, and that's the big thing about building a community. Everybody is here for the same reason, connecting for the same reason.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing to see, because it's just like, you know, not everybody gets a chance to really fit in where they're forced to, but with now that we have the internet, it's like you don't have to. You can escape. You could escape to your friends online. Like you can have a legitimate community backing you no matter what, at any moment, at any time, all across the fucking world, just because you relate on a topic or a video game or some other facet of life that is able to be connected through the internet.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
Yeah. One thing you guys will notice here, if I were to get some focus here from the camera, on the right side of the Ikki, there's a slew of holes where normally they're very normalized and they're a single like sort of size like this and the space bar. There's a lot of options here as to what you can do. So be that as it may, I'm gonna use the switch plate, which is what actually holds the switches in order on the PCB itself to sort of guide me. So what we want to do is we want to fill this rectangular space. Some people might be asking, hey, why is this a sort of L shape? That's for people who are in Europe who like to use what is referred to as the ISO standard of keyboards, where they have a huge enter key. We don't have that here, so we're doing it this way. And
I did not know that, actually.
Yeah, so that's what that L shape is for ISO enters, because they're L shaped. So they need this space. What we're gonna do is we're gonna plop a switch. Let me see here. We're gonna plop a switch. Can we do it regularly? We're gonna put a switch right here. Let me see if I can get close on the camera here. We're gonna put a switch right here. And then that's gonna be our enter key. So then if I were to do that, let me put that there. Let me grab a switch.
So what I'm hearing is they don't believe in backslash.
Literally, they're like right next to each other, and it's I don't know how comfortable that would be to have like a big key. I feel like they have to have a lot of mispresses, unless I mean I guess when you live with it you kind of get used to it, but I don't know. I feel like if I were to sort of have that keyboard standard, I would mess up a lot. All right, so
I really like this octopus or squid emote.
me too. It's really cute. Whoever designed that over at Twitch, props to you. Installing stabilizers on this is a little bit challenging, actually. I'm getting lube on this Switch. Let me see if I can get this right.
Have you been watching any anime?
Not recently, no. Have you?
No, I haven't had the time to, unfortunately. I'm still working my way towards getting caught up on One Piece, but the longer I sit on this break, the longer it's gonna take me to get caught up. But we have a stacked lineup for October.
Yeah. I got Alicia into Dragon Ball, the original.
Nice.
Yeah,
I know we watched a couple episodes while I was up there.
Yeah, we've been watching it together. She's really into it, which is great to see. It's a great OG anime.
Wait till you get to Super. I love Super so much.
Yeah, Super was definitely good, especially compared to like the end of Z. I like the beginning of Z, you know, that Akira Toriyama style, but like the end of Z was really not it for me. So here we have a switch and a set of stabilizers next to that switch. So if I were to get into my keyboard keycap case here, let's just grab a random key. It doesn't really matter what it is. This is a shift. So here. So one thing I'm listening here for is for rattling, right? So there's gonna be some amount of noise you're gonna be hearing from the switch and the stabilizers making noise. That's normal, but there's a certain type of rattle that will be easy to sort of discern for anyone who's sort of been doing this long enough, I guess is the right way to put it. And it sounds like we have a bit of rattle on the right side of our stabilizer. When I tap this top corner, what I'm doing here is I'm just tapping corners and then pressing down to see where I hear it the most and putting it up to my ear. When I tap this top right corner, I hear this sort of like squishing click sound. It's gonna be hard to put in the mic, so I'm not even gonna try to. So I'm just tapping it lightly, and you're gonna hear like the slightest amount of discerning movement. And what that tells me is that that side needs to be lubed more. And in order to do that, what we're gonna do is, oh shit, I just ripped the fucking stabilizer out because it's a clip-in. And just very quickly put the stabilizer back in. It'll go back in. Sir, in the hole. Hey, yo. There we go. All right, so now that that's back in, I'm going to show you guys some tricks, but first I'm going to put the rest of the stabilizers in just to get this going. That was more of a quick demonstration, then we'll get to the rest of this. So that's spacebar and then enter in. Now we have to do left shift and backspace.
So with a traditional keyboard, they still have these stabilizers on these keys, right? That's like
Yeah, that's a bog standard thing of all keyboards. The only difference is necessarily how these stabilizers are mounted to the PCB itself, if at all,
right.
because some are mounted to the plate, and then after that comes, okay, are they lubed, are they not, and stuff like that.
Because I'm as you're entering these stabilizers, I'm popping my keys off and taking a look at how mine is. There's a layer above my PCB.
Oh, that's the membrane itself, yeah. That little
Okay.
that you're talking about, the thin, like white, kind of milky-ish looking thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's the membrane that actually contacts the PCB and actually creates your electrical connection.
Oh.
Because basically that's how yours operates. It's a little bit different to a traditional keyboard setup. Okay. Now we got all the stabilizers on. We're gonna test all of them. So let's pop a switch in here. Make sure that those contacts are in. They are. And then for anyone wondering, how do I line this up? You're gonna notice on the PCB, the set of holes are very uniform and they're set up in a way that you really can't mess this up. And then on the bottom of the switch, you're gonna notice there's two prongs, the bronze and the silver. And then there's these three plastic pins, the middle one being the fattest. And the plastic pins are for stability. The two metal ones are actually what creates the electrical connection that tells your keyboard, hey, he's pressing a switch. And so you're gonna line it up. You're gonna line up the metal contacts with the black slits that are all over the keyboard. Those are the hot swap sockets. And then the three plastic pins should go into these holes pretty easily. And so how that would look is literally just like that. So now I had it lined up, right? I just press down. And there you go. That's a switch and a slot. Now we're gonna repeat that 2 more times for the other stabilizers. I'm gonna grab some keys and we're gonna get to testing.
Move.
A little bit. Okay. Now that we've got all of those in, we're gonna put some keys on them. Spacebar. Okay. Spacebar is in. Now what we also need are 2 more 2U keys, which I'll grab my key switches. And I have another shift key here that I can use. This will go right here. Again, for right now, it doesn't matter what switches we're using. It's literally just for testing. And then we're missing one more. Need one more 2. I don't have any more in that set, so I think I'm just gonna rip one off of my keyboard right now. I have some other spare sets. I just don't want to go and grab them. I'm being a little bit lazy about it. So if I could just grab a means to do this. There we are. We've got our last 2U key that we're gonna need. We're gonna put that in the top right. So I'm going to turn down my noise gate to see if you guys can possibly hear this. So I'm gonna make my mic super sensitive. Okay. So I've completely turned off the gate. If you're really noting for it, you're gonna hear a click on this side, on this right side. The left side sounds fine to me. There seems to be a very discernible, sort of almost squishy kind of rattle on that right side. Now let's try. We're gonna try with the left, with the right shift here. That one sounds better, but to me, again, I'm having the same issue of where the right side sounds worse than the left. Now if we go to our space bar. Now I'm having the opposite effect. I believe the right side is good. So I believe the left side of the space bar is going to need a little bit more lube. Let's check this last shift. So both sides of that shift need lube. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get some tools. I'll be right back. Alright. So now what I've got here in the way of tools are syringes. Well, a syringe, I should say. What we're going to do is we're going to use this syringe to inject lube into the stabilizer while it's installed, so that way we don't have to keep taking it apart. So take apart the syringe. These I just got off Amazon. It doesn't really matter so long as it has a decently sized metal tip, so that way you can actually bring in the lube and it not just get stuck. If you use like an actual needle, like something for injections, they're too thin. You're not actually going to get any lube through. I don't know what the hell you would search up for these, but these are not regular like medicinal grades. These are not meant to be injected into the body. The tips are flat. They're not sharp in any way. So this wouldn't be what you would use to actually inject someone. Alright, so we're just going to grab a good amount of lube. Just going to dip the plunger in. Right, and then make sure that all of that lube goes on top of the plunger to the best of my abilities.
If you guys do need a vaccine, hit your boy up.
Yes, my man works at CVS. Please get vaccinated if you haven't already. There's a lot of things going around now, and nobody wants to contract COVID with everything else going around.
We got our new bivalent boosters in.
Yep, there's a new booster shot. If you're so inclined, by all means, get it. I am vaxxed and boosted. I'm a diabetic. I'm at risk. I try my best to keep myself safe and everyone around me.
I'll give you a kiss too. I'm CPR certified.
That's what we like to hear. So we got some lube in there. Just gonna put it to the. You're gonna press it in. Let me see. It's gonna go. See, it's already coming out the tip. All right. Now that the lube is coming out the tip, we're gonna remove our key switches, our key caps. Sorry, I should say. Trying to do this delicately, because it's gonna pull the switches out. Because this is a hot swap keyboard, the switches want to come out with the key caps. That's just sort of a byproduct of having a hot swap keyboard. That one stayed in. What we're gonna do is we're going to typically on a traditional stabilizer. Let me show this real quick. On a normal stabilizer, you would actually have, actually these TX screws have it as well. There's a hole out the back where essentially you can stab the syringe in, and then you could just put some lube in there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into that back hole right there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm actually inside the plunger on the back side. And then we're just gonna put some lube in there. You see some of it coming out on the back. And that's pretty much all you're doing. You're just trying to get some more lube in there so that everything is adequately lubricated. I'm also going to put some on in the front. Same process. Just go in the hole with the syringe, press down on plunger, call it a night. I'm gonna put some more lube in the actual syringe, but that's just a quick demonstration. Oh, there's actually another way I could do this. One second. I forgot in my drawer of everything, I have a bottle of Krytox 205. And so I could just squeeze it into the plunge, to the actual syringe plunger.
What is Krytox 205?
So Krytox is a company that makes lubricants. And then 205 is essentially just a number designation. It's literally like a model number for this specific type of lube. What exactly the 205 designates in terms of a chemical standpoint, I actually have no idea. But that's just the name of the lube itself. So then we're just going to squeeze some in there. Get a decent amount.
What is the difference between this one and the one that you were using?
So what I was using, so this is 205 grade 2, which is thicker. Versus 205 grade 0, which is thinner.
Gotcha.
But they're from an initial standpoint, they're the same exact lube, just one's thinner, one's thicker, as far as I understand. All right, now we got a decent amount of lube in there, so now we just go to town. And this is once you get to this stage of the game, this is what is referred to as tuning stabilizers. You're tuning them to get that right sound that you want, and that's pretty much just the name of the game. Just keep tuning. So again, we're going in from the back, pushing on the plunger, and keeping it going. So let me demonstrate. See a little bit of lube coming out. You don't want to overdo it. I'm overdoing it for the sake of showing you guys, but you don't want to overdo it because then you might end up with really, really slow and squishy stabilizers. But that's okay. We can work with this and we can make it work perfectly as we want.
I believe my pizza is here, so I'm gonna go grab some. I'll be right back.
By all means, have fun. And now we're just adding lube to our contact points via this needle. I'm just placing it wherever it needs to go and then pressing down on the plunger. Nothing too complicated here. Okay. That side's lubricated. Let's add some more here. You're just going to keep it going again, injecting and adding lube. That's pretty much just the name of the game right now. And if anyone has any questions, or anyone wants to chat, by all means, hop in, text something, whatever you want. Tonight's a chill night. We're trying to hang out, have a little safe space, have a good time, and, you know, just vibe. Tonight's literally just all about relaxing, vibing, and this keyboard build. Nothing too complicated, just a good time with some friends. Hope you're having a good night otherwise, even if you can't hop in and chat, whether you're on mobile, whether you're driving, whether you're busy, whatever the case may be. I appreciate you being here, spending the time, and just taking the time to watch a kid build a keyboard. You know, there's a lot of other things you could be doing right now, and I'm very appreciative that this is something that you've put on your list of things to do for the night. Okay, and now that I've done what I wanted to do with the syringe to a point where I personally feel happy just for the current moment, now we're going to test again. So we're going to put all the switches back in their spots. We're going to re-add the keycaps, and then we're going to hear again for any discernible rattle. So let's put that there. Let's put this. All right, over here. And I think there's one more switch missing. There we go. Also, let me know how you guys feel about the view on the stream right now. Does it look adequate? Does it look high quality? I have 2 Elgato key lights as well as my overhead lighting, and then I plan to also, I appreciate that we want cat cam. You want cat cam? I'll give you cat cam. I have another camera. I just need to get another capture card. Currently, I believe Kitty's in the window, so he's not gonna want to be on camera now regardless. But we'll get a cat cam. We should have a cat cam. All right, let's get all these switches on. For anyone wondering, I do have a cat. I have a Himalayan. That's what Brown Bandit J is referring to. His name is Hitsu, and here he is 1 year and 6 months old. He's officially an adult cat. At 18 months, cats are officially 21. This pizza's busting. I'm happy for you, Jay. All right, now what we're gonna do is, again, we're gonna test. So, keyboard up to the mic, switch it. All right, let's. I'm still hearing some rattle on the left side of spacebar, so we'll add some more there. You guys let me know how that one sounded. I think that one's good. That one's definitely good. And then last one. Okay, so the only one that still needs lube is spacebar and possibly left shift. But let's just start off with spacebar and then we'll keep it going. Oh god, I just took the fucking stabilizer off. Okay. Okay. Let's add a little bit more lube. Again, with the syringe, we're gonna go in from the back. Okay. Added a generous amount of lube to the left side of spacebar. Now let's retest. Gonna re-add our switch here. Sounds like a keyboard. Yep. Yes, it does. Okay. Everything's in. I'm still hearing a rattle on the left side, so let's see what we can do about that. Let me add some more lube to the stabilizer bar and see if maybe that helps. Because that might be our situation here. So I'm just going to quickly grab the brush and just sort of touch up on the bar itself. Do you plan on doing any unsober streams in the future? A drunken stream wouldn't be a bad idea. The only thing I will say about that, I mean, at the end of the day, if the viewers want it, the viewers get it. But I've actually never been drunk before in my life. So if my first time is on stream, so be it. Okay, so I fixed the left side of the spacebar. Now the right side is sounding like it's giving me a hard time. So let me touch up the right side now. If it's not one side, it's the other. I'll say that much. So all I'm doing here is putting the brush under the bar and trying to make sure I've got all facets of the bar lubed. Still some rattle on the right side. Let's add some more lube with the syringe now, since I've done what I can with the brush. Okay, now that we've made a total mess, let's Right side is sounding better. Just gonna touch it up again with the brush real quick, just to make sure I've done everything I can. Oh, that was not even the correct brush. Come on, Owen. Okay, sounds much better. I'm also going to add some more to the left side of this shift on left shift, just because I took the whole fucking thing. Jesus. Oh, it's annoying to happen. That shouldn't happen. I think next time we're going to use screw-in stabilizers instead of these clip-in ones. They're really giving me a hard time here. Let me just take it out of the switch. See. Alright, so Niten28 was looking for a keyboard. Almost serious because no keyboard tag. I'll lurk now. Thank you Niten28. I'll have to change my tags because I thought I did add a keyboard tag. Well, anyways, thank you for stopping by, Niten. Currently, we are building an Ikki68 hot swap PCB. Polycarbonate plate, and we're going to be using NK Cream tactiles, and we're using XHT BDZ on TX stabilizers. And then I appreciate you for the lurk. Alright, put the stabilizers back in. Now we're going to put the switch back in and test again now that I've added a little bit more lube to that stabilizer. Let's hope that it's functional. Also, Natan, while you're lurking, if you don't mind, and for anyone else who's watching who hasn't already, please consider following the stream. We're trying to make it to affiliate, so we're working our way up this month. And we're trying to get ourselves up there, like my boy Brown Bandit J in chat. Spicy chicken pizza go crazy, I believe you. So left side of the left shift sounds perfect. Right side needs some work. Okay, so let's add some more lube to the left side. We're going to be using our syringe again. Let me see if I can add some more to the bottom. I can actually. That's interesting. Okay. It's actually very interesting that it has that through hole I can add more lube from. So currently we're just using a syringe and we're going through this bottom sort of peephole, and I'm doing that to add more lube to the bottom side of the wire, because I believe the bottom side of the wire where it's contacting the housing is where I'm having my issue. So I'm just putting the syringe in at an angle so where it's touching the bottom of the wire, and I'm just hitting the plunger. Alright, now let's put that aside. Add our key switch back, and then test again. Getting lube literally everywhere. Thank you again to Natan and anyone else who stopped by. If anyone hasn't already, please do consider following. It means the world to me, and it helps me get that much closer to affiliate. We're working our way there, and it's one stream at a time, baby. Still hearing a discernible rattle on the right side, which is annoying. Let me see if I can touch that up. Luckily with TX stabilizers, I'm going to pull this one out, but the fortunate thing by using TX stabilizers, for anyone who's familiar with the keyboard game, is that these are press-in or clip-in, traditional stabilizers are screw-in, if they are plate mount, that is. So TX Keyboards, one of the vendors in the keyboard space, decided they were going to make up a new design, and they did it. They really did do it. It does do a lot of work for you. So all I'm doing right now is I just removed the wire. I'm going to add a little bit more lube on the bottom side of the wire, and hoping that solves my dilemma here. There's a lot of lube. For a lot of people, too much lube, and I agree. This is just for the sake of trying to get this just right. Oops. The tolerance on these TX stabilizers is so tight. There we go. Now that's pressed in. Now we put that back into the keyboard and hope that it solved our issue. Make sure, let me see from the bottom. Yeah, the wires look good from the bottom. Okay. That aside, let's push that in. Make sure that's clipped in. There we go. There we go. Oh, there we go. All right, that's back in now. That sounds much better. I feel like I'm hearing a little bit of spring rattle, so I might... Not spring rattle, sorry. Spring ping. I wonder who lubed these switches. For anyone wondering, this is not a personal build. This is a build for a client, aka my eldest brother. This is not a personal build at all. I can't afford keyboards right now. Also, there's a bit of a tolerance issue here. Whenever I press down, the stabilizer goes up and down. So that might be where my rattle is coming from, actually. So I'm going to try... Normally, I wouldn't advise this, but because we have the syringe method now, and honestly, the stabilizer lubing really isn't that complicated. It's never been complicated, but it's a lot easier than it used to be with methods such as using... syringes, as well as now with these clip-in stabilizers, that I'm going to build the rest of the keyboard and see if that removes my issue. Because I think what's happening right now is that because I'm running no plate, as just for the sake of testing, we're having a tolerance issue with the stabilizers where essentially the whole thing is lifting and it's creating a plastic clack against the PCB. So I'm going to remove everything and I am going to add the plate, assemble the keyboard, and then hopefully with the help of the height between the plate and the switch, as well as the plate foam that I'm going to be putting in between the plate and the PCB, that we're not going to have that tolerance issue and that our stabilizers should sound minty. I don't know that for sure, but I'm hoping that's it, simply because I can't see anything else that isn't treated already. So first things first, let's do this. Let's add this. Let's move our brushes out of the way. Let's move our switches out of the way for right now. Let's move that lube there. Move my keyboard to the side. Move Mr. Ghosty. Put the plate right there. And then we're going to do this. So let's begin. So let's do that like that. Oh, I forgot to take this switch off. Okay. All right. Plate foam installed. Now we put the plate on top. All right. And now we start adding our switches. So simply put, as I mentioned before, for anyone who is not privy to keyboard build, you simply just line up the metal contacts here. If I can show you on the camera. So there's two metal contacts right there at the top, along with 3 prongs. What you're going to do is you're going to line the metal contacts with the black slits in the PCB right there at the top. You see at every key switch, and then you're gonna line up the 3 plastic pegs with the holes along. And again, however many of you there are, I'm currently not watching viewer numbers, but I appreciate every which one of you taking the time out tonight to watch this stream. Really does mean a lot, and it helps me get that much closer to affiliate, as I'm hoping to continue to do this for you know, your entertainment at this point. You know, I'm here to provide where I can, and sort of hope that my streams can do anything for you on a given night, you know, sort of take you away from whatever it is you're doing, give you something to watch, give you something to pass some time with, as Naten was saying, something to lurk on. And yeah, let's just keep this going. Late night keyboard streams. So now we just go around the keyboard, filling in holes where we need to add switches. That being said, how's everyone doing tonight? If anyone wants to pop in the chat, Jay I know is having his good bit of dinner with some spicy chicken pizza. That's going crazy. I hope you're all having a good night, and if you're not, I hope that this stream makes it better. What I'm doing when I turn over the keyboard, by the way, again, for anyone who is uninitiated, you can actually see, so remember those black slits I was mentioning? Those are the key slots here. Those are, shit, I forgot. Sockets, sorry. These are Kale hot swap sockets. You can see inside the sockets, the pins actually come through, and you can see them from the back. And what I'm doing is using that as a way to confirm that I didn't bend the pins when I put the actual switch in, because again, those 2 metal contacts, they can bend. They're not exactly the thickest of metals. They're not exactly the strongest of metals, and so you're gonna do that to check and make sure that you didn't bend anything on the way in. Because if they're bent, obviously they're not gonna actuate. They're not gonna tell your computer, hey, key switch pressed. And now we just go around the board and keep it going. I dropped one. Come back. Got it. Tonight's a good night for me. I could say, at least. Having a good time spending it with all of you, and it's been really nice to have some sort of support on something that isn't my go-to, you know, picking up new viewers and the likes of Naten and a few others, and just having a different kind of experience versus, you know, your run-of-the-mill Apex or CSGO stream where, you know, as much as I pride myself on my ability to play those games, they're not everything that necessarily I want to do on Twitch. They don't represent all facets of me to the point where that's all I want to be viewed as when it comes to streaming. I have a lot more, I feel like, to sort of provide as a streamer, and I hope that I do enough for you guys, essentially. So really quickly, now that I've added a few switches, I've made some stability in the keyboard, and we have the plate and we have the foam. I'm going to add keys. I'm going to add keycaps, and going to test again these switches. Okay, so hopefully the plate doesn't rattle at all. Are we running the NK cream stock? So these are actually lubed. These are NK cream tacticals that have been lubed. I actually am not familiar with the person who lubed them or their process or what lube was used, simply because these were given to me by the client. These are not sourced by me. Traditionally, I lube my switches using Trebosis 3203, and then I have Krytox 105 for springs. But these are new. They are not broken in NK Cream tactiles that were lubed by an unknown source. I would assume just from hearing them, they were lubed with Krytox 205, but honestly, at this point, I'm not too sure, especially considering I'm hearing a little bit of spring ping. They're not necessarily the best job in my opinion, but For the client, if they're happy, that's all that really matters. I don't have any experience with these either. That's actually why I chose them. The client gave me a few different options. I'm actually currently running, I forgot what I'm running. I think I'm running Gazoo Boba U4Ts in this. I really like my tactiles, and since I've never actually had an experience with an NK Cream tactile, I was like, well, I like the NK Creams, but I'm a tactile person, you know, tactile gang, and so I wanted to try out these. Hopefully this ends up being a good experience overall, but let's get back to testing real quick. I'm not hearing any discernible rattle on that one. Left shift on the right side of the stabilizer definitely still has a weird rattle to it. Left side's good. It's checked enter. Enter does sound like it still has some rattle as well. And then right shift. I mean right backspace. Backspace. Does sound like it also has a little bit of rattle, so let's get to those real quick. Just gonna add a little bit of lube. I'm currently trying to lube the sides because it doesn't sound anymore like it's any type of rattle. I don't know if you got how discernible it is on the mic, but it sounds very squishy. It sounds as if it's as if it's plastic rattling, which to me would imply that I didn't lube enough on the housings to the stems, which I am checking now by adding more lube to the sides of the stems. But yeah, in the 10, I don't have any experience with these either, and we're gonna be experiencing them together. I've used NK blueberries. I've used NK creams, and that is familiar as I am with the novelty series of switches. And you know, I had a good experience with the creams. The blueberries, not so much. I don't like their I forgot what it's called. Their the pattern that they use, because it's a D shape instead of like the really strong P shape of Holy Pandas or Boba 4Ts. So hopefully I end up liking these more than I did the blueberries, which was, anyone who isn't initiated, we're talking about different key types. NK stands for novel keys, and then cream is just the name of a switch, you know, like a model number that they picked. They formerly had the, I think they might still be selling them, but the novel keys blueberries. That's why he prefaces the statement with NK creams. NK just stands for novel keys. They're just a vendor. Novel key, sorry, they're just a vendor in the keyboard space. They sell switches, keyboards, you name it, you need it, go hit them up. Go to their website, novelkeys.com. Not affiliated in any way, but just a great company that does a good job of taking care of the keyboard space, in my opinion. They do a lot for a lot of people. And so right now, as I just previously mentioned, I was trying to discern some mild rattling that I'm hearing that sounds like plastic rattling. So I'm trying to add a little bit more lube. I'm adding actually Crytox 205 grade 0 because we initially lubed the stabilizers with XHT BDZ, which in and of itself is super thick. So I don't want to overdo it and add more. So I'm using Crytox 205 grade 0 to make sure that everything's properly lubricated, but not overdo it. Okay. Again, when it comes to lubing, less is more. You just add a little bit to each side of the stem as well as the inside of the housing. Because I have thin enough brushes, I'm able to do this with the switches, with the stabilizer still installed. Traditionally, you would have to retake them apart. So I recommend for anyone doing this, get some really thin flat brushes, such as this one here, and do yourself that favor. Because honestly, having to take this shit apart over and over is not fun. Alright, So now that that's taken care of, we're going to close up our Crytox 205 grade 0. And then re-add our switches that fell off, that pulled off. And then we're going to retest. And then if we're happy with how they sound, we're going to move on with the rest of the keyboard build, which is literally just put the rest of the switches in. I can already tell that left shift is better, but right side still needs more lube. Let's see. Spacebar to me, left side still needs some. I'll put them up to the mic in a second. I'm just testing them on the desk so I don't run the risk of possibly having the plate come into equation. But just for the sake of, you know, giving you guys that experience, I'll put it up to the mic in a second. Okay, right shift is right, enter is good. This still has some rattle on the right side. So let's put it up to the mic now, see if you guys can hear it. So right side right now of enter to me sounds good. Left side, I can still hear a discernible rattle. So I'll go back to the drawing board with that one. The space bar, right side sounds good. Left side still a little bit. No, left side actually sounds good. Okay, so just from that quick litmus test, I still do need to add a little bit more lube. Spacebar to me sounds fine. I think the main culprits are going to be right shift and then enter right now. I think right shift and enter are going to need the most amount of help right now. So let's grab some more Crytox, add the brush again, and we're going back to the same step of just a little bit of lube. Don't go too crazy on it. I'm wiping some off the sides. Oops, grabbed a little too much. Right? And then go back on it. So it looks as though next time for our next build, which will be next Thursday, actually, I'm thinking of doing a second build this weekend. I have a Geonworks. Shit, I forgot the model. I have a Geonworks that I need to get built this weekend that I think I'm gonna get done. Maybe Saturday. You guys let me know if you'd want to see that. That I believe I will be building with linear switches instead of tactile ones.
Do it.
Glad to know you're back.
I am sorry for the absence.
You're good. Been having a good time.
Good.
Just sort of trying to figure this out. Still getting a good amount of rattle, which is annoying. I think next time I'm gonna use Durox stabs and I'm gonna use Crytox instead of 205 grade 0 instead of XHT BDZ, because this combination is just not giving me the greatest of results right now, and I was hoping they would. I've heard good things about both.
Mineral oil.
Yes, of course, because that'll definitely solve every... Oh, fuck. That'll definitely solve every issue I have. I would love to build a mineral oil PC, though. So, right now we're playing a little bit of a dangerous game of, okay, how far do we want to chase this rattle before we end up adding too much lube? Because it's very possible I'm just not lubing exactly the right spot. And that might just be a byproduct of them being installed, because I can't actually know where. Tapping on it So what I'm doing here is I'm doing light taps to see if I hear any discernible rattle just from me tapping the key switch. And right now I'm not hearing any, which to me, there's no way, I don't know if the mic will be able to pick it up. Well, you're not gonna pick up anything because there's nothing happening. But effectively, what you're doing when you're tapping like that is you're testing for rattle of the bar itself. Since that slight discernible movement will be enough to sort of jostle the bar a little bit and tell you if you have any bar play. And since I didn't hear anything, that would imply to me that the bar is fine. I'm just gonna add a little bit more under the bar just in case. Just trying to get lube wherever I think might be adding any discernible amounts of rattle. Okay.
Excuse me.
All right, so I'm gonna stop that there because the rattle, at least to my ear, isn't very, like, it isn't perfect, but we're running the risk now of adding too much lube and then you end up with a sluggish space stabilizer, which you also don't want. I'm not gonna chase this too hard, and that's just a byproduct of me in this case not only knowing the situation with these stabilizers and how I'm probably never going to use them again, but also I know that the client isn't going to use this as a main board. For him, this is more of a collector piece. Why do I know that? The client in this case is my brother. So we're going to keep pushing, right? We're going to get this complete, and then we're going to keep it pushing for the current moment. I'm trying to see, oh, this has a right. Okay, we're going to do split right. Yeah, we're going to do that here. So let's do, okay. Since we don't need a right shift in this case, this PCB has multiple layouts. Now, you'll note on my keyboard here, it has a right shift. It's shortened because of the arrow keys, and that's just this layout. On this keyboard where I just put these two switches, you can put a right shift in the center and then stabilizers on either side. In this case, for the client, I'm doing single U. That's a matter of personal preference. This not only saves me time with one less stabilizer, but right shift in his case isn't going to be used. So we keep this going. So next time, chat, you remind me if I forget. We're using Durox stabilizers and we're using Krytox 205 grade 0. No more XHT. And no more of these clip-in stabs from TX. As much as they're convenient, I'm still having this issue of movement or play. Let me see if I can get it in the camera. All right. So if you guys see these two prongs right here, you're going to see them move up and down as I press the stabilizer. I don't know if that's contributing to my issue, but I think that with rapid key presses, that might be contributing to an issue of rattling. Just as that's rapidly moving up and down and touching the PCB. I could be wrong, but either way, I don't like it. I'm going to be moving back towards screw-in stabilizers that are much quicker to get done. So let's get that cleared away. Next time we'll go with screw-in stabilizers. And now we know. Again, these were all client-provided parts. So there's only so much leeway I have there because it's what the client wants. But the client also gave me a set of Durox to use on a separate build. Well, I actually have 5 builds for this client. So we'll be having a lot of keyboards to build in the future. But now we're just going to fill out the keyboard with the rest of our switches. We're going to put keycaps on. We are not using this set of keycaps. This is GMK Dark that I've been using for testing. At a 1.2 millimeter TX stab. I believe these are 1.6. Yeah, you can see here. Not sure if maybe that difference. I think that might be your issue if Ikki68 uses 1.2 mil. You know, that might be it. That's something that with the tolerances I actually wasn't aware of, because again, this was provided by the clients. I wasn't actually aware of those slight discernible differences, but that might be where our issues are lying here. And if that's the case, I'll ask the client what he wants to do once he gets the keyboard in hand, and if he wants me to rebuild it, we'll rebuild it on stream. Just swap out the stabilizers and then keep it going. But for tonight, just to have a complete build, we're going to be doing this, and then we're going to be putting on this just to contrast the white of the case. Well, it's more of a translucent or transparent color, but to offset the white or the milkiness and the gold, we're going to be using GMK nuclear data. But I appreciate you knowing that, Natan, and bringing that up. I wasn't aware of that being a discernible issue in the first place. And now I know for the future. Maybe I'll give TX stabs another shot, but just the 1.2s if they have, which I'm assuming they do since you asked. Because again, I don't. This was all just like, because my client loves just sort of scouring forums, seeing what's new and what people are buying. So I'm assuming he probably didn't know either. Yeah, they have both. Okay, that's good to know. And I appreciate you letting me know. That's good for the next build. To note, I'll check the other boxes of TX stabs because I have 3 sets of Durox and I think I have 2 more sets of TXs. I'm going to check and see what their thickness, if they're 1.6 or 1.2. And then if anything, we'll end up just using the Durox screw-ins just to compensate for the time being until I get a chance to speak with the client. He gets the keyboards in hand and tells me how he feels about these stabilizers, if he thinks that sound is bothering him, or if he doesn't like, or if the slight, I don't even know if I would call it rattle, really. It kind of just sounds mushy. I think that slight, like, slop if that slight slop bothers him, we'll see. Because it's all about making the person you're building for happy. But we'll definitely get that cleared away for the next build, and you are a huge help for that one, Niten? Sorry, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Niten28. I believe that's how it's pronounced.
I would say Nightin.
Nightin? That, I don't know, never know. Who knows, really?
Maybe we're both wrong.
Maybe we're both wrong completely. Yeah, maybe it's a completely separate pronunciation. It's okay, just a username I made a long time ago. Got it. Try not to overthink it. But I'm going to tell Jay he's wrong to tell him he's wrong.
All I care about is that dinosaur badge.
It is a really nice badge. GlitchCon 2020. Ah, okay, that's where you got it from. Well, either way, I appreciate you stopping by for however much time you got tonight. If you do tend to lurk around the keyboard space quite a bit, I will be doing more late night streams. I have one more coming this weekend, and then I should have a few more next week as I go through all these builds. They gave them out for free for people who watched their virtual con during COVID. Oh, cool.
I wish I was there. I'd love to have a
same
little dinosaur.
And that is all to say, I appreciate you stopping by. Especially as a new viewer. I appreciate that, because I don't know if there's a unique viewer clause for affiliate, but just having new people that don't already know me sort of popping into the stream, it's nice to know that there's a little bit of an outreach, as opposed to, as much as I love my friends, but it is a little bit different than just having your friends on stream. So, thank you. We need one more. We need one more switch. Cool. And for anyone watching, if you're a big fan of green, my client's favorite color is green, you're gonna love the keycap choice tonight. All right. I'd get a custom from you. I appreciate that, Alicia. I would gladly build you a custom in a heartbeat. So here we have the finished PCB with all of our NK creams and our TX stabilizers. Pretty well stocked right now on both 1.6, 1.2, and WKey-WKL links. Good to know, because again, these are relatively new to me. I know that Teja and a few others in the community have really been backing them and saying that they love the design. But this is my first time actually experiencing them, so I'm hoping that as I get to play around with them more, get a few different sets, I could understand which ones I need depending on the build, because this wasn't a great first experience, but had you not told me about the differentiations in their different sets, I might have sort of written them off, so I appreciate that. And now I'm going to go grab the keycap set, and we're going to perform the final assembly. I didn't know either. Just Googled the PCB and we mentioned the play on the stabs. Oh, cool. Thank you. All right. Now, for final assembly, what we're going to need is let's put the PCB inside the case. And for those of you who haven't been here, here is the weight on the interior of the Ikki68.
Been waiting for this moment all night.
Yeah. So then we just slot that in, put it in its associated position, right? And then we are going to clamp this down using the top half once it's fully seated. The plate foam, or silicone I should say, is currently binding on the chassis because it bulges out a little bit. The tolerances aren't too tight. So I'm just trying to press down, make sure all of that is compressed. Oh, before I do that, I need to install the weight, which means I need to go get my iFixit toolkit. I will be right back. All right, toolkit acquired. Now we can get back to final assembly. So I put the weight to the side right here. So we have the screws, we have an associated driver, and then we have the weight and the bump-ons in here. Sorry, not weight, the shit. I forgot what it's called. It's the little garnish piece. Forgot what the official name for it is. The badge. There we go, the badge. Thank God I remembered. Wait, the badge doesn't have... The badge just has magnets under, but... Real quick, let's show you guys the design on the badge. Beautiful thing. So let's get everything out of the accessories bag. Oh. There are foam strips. That would have been a good thing to have on the edges of the plate real quick. Did not even realize that was part of this. Whoops. This is why you open your accessories bag first, folks. So we're gonna pull the PCB out without breaking anything, because this thing is wedged in, right? And then we're gonna add these strips of foam. There are these slots going along the entire thing. We're gonna put the strips of foam in there.
That looks really nice.
Yeah, it does. They also have, wait, I'm gonna use the silicone ones actually, because the foam ones aren't really So they give you 2 sets of plugs for these slits. One of which is silicone, the other is foam. So just like that, we're just gonna press these in. So take a slit, pull it off, and then put it in the appropriate slot. Which gaskets I'm gonna use? Right now I'm just using the silicone gaskets. Because they have both foam and silicone, I'm gonna just use the silicone ones. Make sure I'm on the correct side here. Let's put that in there. The difficulty of using the silicone ones is that because they're clear, or milk-y, going on top of what is effectively a milky chassis, you can barely see where I'm putting them. Okay, let's put that one in. All right, and then we keep it going along around the keyboard. So same process, just rinse and repeat. You grab a gasket, you find a slot to put that gasket in, and then you just press down. And so again, for anyone who's unfamiliar, anyone who's not from the keyboard space, why am I doing this in the first place? Why am I putting these little gummy things along these strips? You'll notice on our plate, we have these tabs hanging off around the plate. Those are gonna line up with these slots and effectively going to suspend the keyboard. So that way you have no chance of the plastic plate rattling against the plastic housing of the keyboard. So then just do that over and over. Anyone who's worked in the automotive space, you're familiar with the term gasket, as Niten was using in chat. These are referred to as gaskets, and there are different types of gasket mounting for keyboards. This is just one way of doing it. And instead of a gasket being a sealing structure against liquids, for example, if we're speaking cars, usually you use gaskets to seal 2 surfaces for the sake of liquids being constrained. But in this case, they're being used to prevent vibration as well as any type of supplemental noise coming from 2 surfaces meeting that would otherwise rattle, because it's essentially, you know, like a barrier. So different kind of gasket, same but different. If you know that space, you can get around the idea of gaskets here as well. So again, we keep going around the keyboard. We keep just slotting these in and just press down there. Oh, I'm sure you could probably tell from just the sheet that it's on, but these are adhesive backed. So that's what keeps them in place. And again, this might for some be rudimentary if you're familiar with keyboard building, but for any of my new viewers who are here from either my Apex streams or they're just friends of mine or whatever else who may not be initiated in the world of building keyboards, this is meant to be your introduction, and I'm happy to be that introduction, especially with a keyboard kit like the Ikki68. It's actually pretty easy of a build compared to some others, and we'll get to more complicated things as time goes on. I'm happy you say that, Alicia. I'm glad to be that intro for you. And yeah, just trying to make our way through a relatively easy build. Things can get a lot more complicated. Like I said, there's different mounting styles for different keyboards. There are different styles of PCB. Some of them require... Really, Justin? But yeah, as time goes on, we'll try different keyboard builds, try different keyboard build styles, and we'll get to see a little bit more of those complexities sort of make their way. For a lot of companies, a lot of vendors, they use keyboards to kind of like flex their engineering chops. And they put a lot of time and effort into it, and you can definitely tell when you end up with something that's incredibly polished and the tolerances are super tight, and we're gonna get there. This keyboard kit isn't bad, but it's definitely not what I would consider a high-end board by any means. And I don't mean that just in price, because they're very well-built cheap keyboards. I mean that primarily just in manufacturing tolerances, the way things are fitting together. Don't get me wrong, this is a great keyboard, but once we get to like the Geon Works that I have in my closet, I'll show you guys what I mean in terms of a general quality difference for those who, again, aren't already initiated. Are these the same length? Okay, so both silicone and F1, F2 are frog. What do you mean by that, friend? I'm not familiar with those terms. Oh, you're asking me which Geon Works. I'm sorry. I'd actually have to check. I don't remember the. Yeah. Sorry. Hey, Rick, as soon as I processed, I was like, I'm not too sure. I'll show it at the end of the stream. Because I actually don't remember which model it is, but I'll show it. We could talk about it, and that'll most likely be actually my next build stream. But if I recall correctly, it's an 80%, which I believe what is it? The F1X is an 80%, right? Yeah, I'm hoping it'll be. I've never built a GeonWorks key. Actually, have I built? I think I built one of their keypads. I don't think I've built one of their keyboards though. I'm hoping it is exciting. I'm hoping it is a good time. I'm hoping that you can attend that stream as well in the 10. I'm hoping to finalize when that stream will be happening very, very soon. If anything, you can find me on my social media platforms. They're right below the stream, and that's usually where I keep up to date, primarily on my Instagram story as well as on tweets. I'll post when I go live or I'm about to, and that's where you can sort of keep up to date with me. The fact that these gaskets have to be recessed is causing me a bit of an issue because they're like rolling on themselves and they're not really going into their slots. So I'm hoping that with some compression and some, let's call it persuasion, they'll flatten out and stop rolling themselves over, because it's really frustrating. Jesus. Okay, I think all of the slots are filled except for this last one, which is rolled over. Let's push that one into its correct place. All right. So as far as I can tell, the gaskets are where they need to be. I've tried my best to keep them from rolling and keep them in their recesses flat. And now let's put down this. Okay. Let's see, the tolerances here. The USB-C port is where it needs to be. And all we need to do now is press in the top portion after I install this weight, which appears to be a magnetic piece, but see, it appears to be magnets, but I don't see any magnets on the accessory. Oh, there they are. So they're magnetic plates that go behind it. So, alright, so I'm going to show you guys the accessory kit here. So in the accessories kit, we have 2 metal plates, which I'm assuming... Okay, I'm lying. They're non-ferrous. Okay, so these plates are not for the magnets on the top of the back of the weight. Ah! There we go. That makes more sense. So we're going to put that we're going to slot that in here. Screw it in from the back, and then we should be good. So this looks to be a Phillips 00. This is very tiny. So let's whip out the iFixit kit. All right. Okay, so it's not 00. It might be just a Phillips 0 then. Nope, Phillips 1. I'm lying out of my ass. Strike out twice. There we go. Phillips 1. If anyone is going to build an Ikki68 for the magnet for the weight, we're gonna be looking for a Phillips 1 on your bit set. So we're gonna do that. This is the home stretch, everybody.
Let's go! Did you already put the weight in?
The weight is in on the back. That's already screwed in. All I have to do is install this badge and then install the case halves. So the 2 protruding screw holes, I'm just going to screw into with these tiny little gold screws if this thing will focus. Yeah. So I have these tiny gold screws in my hand. Just going to put those in.
I'll be right back.
Take your time. Shout out to this studio. What is their name? Wook? I don't know how to pronounce that. WUQUE, the studio that, as far as I know, designed and produced this keyboard just like this is their original design from what I understand. Shout out to them for having ferrous screws. I know a lot of premium keyboards, because they're technically made of better materials, don't have ferrous screws, but they're such a pain in the ass to work with. Realistically, bro, just give me a magnetic screw. Okay, so our plate is in, and that's what we'll be using for the badge. And now all I have to do is just plop the badge on, which, there we go. Badge in. Put this down.
Screws are beautiful.
They are. Okay, now with both sides compressed, we're going to install the case screws. Another good thing I like about this keyboard, as opposed to many others, and why I would recommend it for anyone who's looking for a beginner board, if you can find it, because I know that this is sold out on the official studios like website, as well as a few other vendors. This is a sold out kit at this point. The good thing about it is that it effectively it has metal inserts for the screws, which is not a common occurrence from what I found, which is really frustrating. I really wish it was, just because it's just like, dude, come on. Like, why not have metal inserts when you have a plastic keyboard? For example, my Godspeed 75, my main board, it didn't have that. It doesn't have metal inserts, and that proved to be its own host of issues. Now let me see, is the... Okay. Appears as though the keyboard is falling into place. Everything is compressing nicely.
That USB-C?
Yeah. This is a Type-C keyboard. As you can see by that top slot there. If it'll focus. There you go. Type-C. Also, really nice tolerances on the Type-C cutout. Even though it's a rectangular cutout, it's still pretty well machined to the point where, like, it looks pretty tight. And also, as we can tell here, besides the Phillips situation, this comes with everything that you would need to assemble it. So again, credit where it's due. This is, for all accounts, a relatively entry-level keyboard, and This keyboard company provided everything you would need. And it's very nice tolerances. Everything is very well built. Okay. All right, there we go. Maybe a little bit too good tolerances, because Jesus Christ, I cannot get that out of that screw. Despite having plastic inserts, despite having metal inserts, this is still a plastic keyboard. So for anyone building one of these, I don't recommend going full ham on the torque. I just spin it by hand until it's done, and then I give it 1/2 turn to pass snug. And that's what I just do by hand, just for the sake of. I think that if you went a little bit too ham on the torque, you might possibly pull the inserts out of the actual molded case. So that's just something to be wary of if anyone decides to build one of these themselves.
So what is the case made out of? Silicone?
The case itself for the keyboard, it's either polycarbonate or acrylic. I am gonna have to double check because there's a few different options for this board. I believe there was an aluminum option, and I don't know what plastic. Okay, there we go. PC. Shout out to Nintendo, my local encyclopedia here. Because literally I've just been taking, besides remembering model names, it's just been the client hands me a board and I get to it. And so
I'm glad that we have somebody else here that knows what they're talking about.
Me too, because I could take the time right now and search this up, but I know you guys want to see this build done. So right now, I'm basically looking around the board, making sure that the gaps between the top and bottom half aren't too pronounced. And if they are, I'm just tightening the screws in that vicinity. So you would just go around and you would just look at that line there where they meet and just make sure that everything is good. I like this. This is a very, I don't know what the term would be for this, because frosted polycarbonate still looks, relatively, translucent, where this is really, kind of opaque. It's a really nice...
It looks soft.
It does look soft. I would assume it'd be, I don't know if they consider this, a white polycarbonate, what exactly the term would be for it, but it definitely isn't, what I would consider frosted. Just because of how opaque it is.
If you're using the term milky, I would say that's the best to describe it.
Yeah. All right, so... There we are. Now I'm very quickly just going to clean up my desk so we can get to the best part, which is the...
Keycaps?
That is correct, yes. The keycaps.
I'm invested. I need to see this keyboard done.
I'm glad you're invested, King. Alright, so let's go to the accessories bag, put all the screws away, and then we have the... parts bag, which had the silicone and the foam, or I would assume that'd be pour-on gaskets, and then the bump-ons, which have to go on the bottom, which I'll actually do right now as well. Let's just really quick get everything away. And then lastly, before we get to the keycaps, I baited you guys for a second, the bump-ons, which are the feet, for anyone who is not familiar with that term, bump-ons. The reason why they're called bump-ons, if I recall correctly, it's just because they bump onto the surface. They're not what's the term? They're not molded or included feet already. They just are bumped or on adhesive attached onto the keyboard. But bump-ons you can use for anything. You can universally look up the term bump-on and you'll just see little rubber feet. You see on the bottom.
I have them on my cupboards.
Yeah, you see them on cupboards on the inner sides of drawers, so that they don't mar up the surface or anything like that. And there we go, the 4 feet are on. Turn this over, and now it's time for the keyboard set. This is a brand new from Oblatsky Industries, nuclear data, still sealed. Shout out to the client.
Man, that box alone looks nice.
It does. GMK sets usually do get a lot of love and attention from the artists themselves, and they do try to individualize it to the point where you do get these really nice unboxing experiences. Though I don't like the inner casing that GMK uses now. They're made out of, I believe it's called potato starch. Let me just get my keyboard out the way. Put this keycap back on.
Ooh. That looks nice.
Yeah. Thank you. Alright, so let's make some space. Move the brushes out the way. Let's get a little ghosty there. Put that right there. Now let's get to this keycap set. As I just drop things. Alright, so we remove the plastic. And we are collectively the firsts in the world to see this brand new unopened set get opened. As this was ordered, I think like 2 years ago. Alright, and 3, 2, 1. Ooh. I really like this shade of green, and I think it's gonna go well with, I'm glad it's an Honor Alicia, and I think it's gonna go really well with the white and gold here.
Ooh.
So, let's get to it.
They look like they taste good.
I'm dead. You know what's ironic about you saying that is that this casing, this potato starch casing that they come in is actually edible. Let me do that, and do that. There we go. There we go. All right, now one thing I mentioned previously about the Ikki68, well, I mentioned it about 65% in general, is that they are able to be, they don't have an F key row. So you're gonna notice that in the compactness of this keyboard, we're not gonna have any F keys. So escape goes right next to your number row. And very quickly, I'm just looking up the layout of this keyboard as it stands, so I can appropriately put the keycaps in the correct place. So let's look up Ikki68 Aurora. Okay, there's a picture reference. That's what I needed. Thank you. Shout out to Canon Keys for having a referential picture just available. All right, so let's get to it. And for anyone wondering if you could change this layout that I'm going to be using, yes. Most keyboards that are built nowadays in the custom space are programmable via an application, ironically named VIA. And you would go into there and just program what keys you want to do what. And you can make any key do any function or anything else from that matter. So let's just get these on there. Ooh, the keys sound nice. I'm not hearing too much of that spring ping that I was hearing earlier. So hopefully it isn't on all the switches. Maybe it was on a minority, or maybe I was just making shit up. But so far, I'm really liking how this keyboard sounds. Yeah, I'm really liking this color scheme, not gonna lie. It's very luck of the Irish.
Does look pretty nice.
Yeah. And there's just something about fresh GMK caps. If anyone has never experienced GMK keycaps, they're made of ABS plastic, which typically is noted by like a certain smoothness. But GMK keycaps, with their manufacturing processes, they have a certain grittiness when they're new, and it just like feels like a really nice texture on the hands. Ooh, okay. The tactility on these switches I like. I might get myself a set of NK Cream tactiles. The bump is very pronounced. The lubing kind of takes away from it a little bit, but I can say that whoever lubed it didn't lube the actual legs of the stem, which in a future stream I'll go over key switches, key stems, and all that with you guys, and we can explore that realm of key switch lubing. The only reason I didn't for this stream was timing. Key switch lubing, like I mentioned before, alone can take several hours, and I just didn't have that time today, unfortunately. I did stepped caps, which does this set come with a stepped caps naturally? It does. Okay, so there we go. For anyone who's wondering what stepped caps means, basically instead of a traditional caps lock, if it'll focus, shit, 1 second, just gotta view things. I'm not sure how well in focus that is, because right now I can't see my OBS unfortunately. But can you? Is it in focus, Jay?
I'm a little bit delayed.
Okay. Well, you're gonna see me holding up a keycap. Well,
Yeah, it focused.
traditionally, where this keycap will be full length, it has a step here, and that's what a stepped caps lock is. That's a personal preference thing. You can use a traditional caps lock, which is just a long caps lock key, which we also have here. I just like the look of stepped caps.
It do be looking pretty nice.
Yep. ASD, F, GH. Another personal preference thing is with what is referred to as the homing keys. And what your homing keys are is what are used for your hands to naturally gravitate towards the home row of your keyboard. And so traditionally, well, not traditionally, you have two options. You have either a beveled cap, where essentially it's sort of scalloped to a way where it's a really harsher U shape. So your fingers can tell which keys they are because they're a lot deeper dished than the keys next to it. The keys next to it have flat faces. The other option is using, I don't know what the term would be, but they essentially have slits on them physically, like bumps on them, that you would feel for instead. And for tonight, just for the clean look, I'm gonna use the scalloped keys. Traditionally, I like to use the keys with the slits just because I like the uniformity of flat faces. But I think that there is a cleanliness to be had with scalloped home row keys.
So are you talking about, so like when I'm looking at my keyboard, little stub on my F key?
And your J key, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so instead of having that little stub, these keys are just physically deeper. Like you could, when you put your finger in, you feel the recession, and it's kind of like hugging the sides of your finger.
Mm-hmm. I don't really ever type with two hands anymore. I always use my left hand.
Interesting. I only do that when gaming now. I traditionally do still use both hands.
I have long fingers, so I can stretch across the entire keyboard.
Now, the thing about using two keys here is you can make these do whatever it is you want, instead of using a single right shift. So what I'm going to put right now, just for the sake of having things there, I want to make sure they're the same profile key as well. Is this row 3 or row 4, I should say? These look to be the same profile, so I'm going to put that there. Oh, wait, I'm lying. Those have to be 1.5. Okay, sorry, 1 second. Whoops. Okay, let's put this switch back here. Put that in there. Let's add a 1.5 function, I believe will fit. Is it 1.5? Yep, 1.5 function and then a single key right there. That is not the correct profile, so let's swap that out for a correct profile switch. Which we're looking for. Is this correct profile? Appears to be no. Finding correct. Wait a minute. Oh, okay, that wasn't a misprint. Okay, I was about to say, I thought I had a misprint for a second.
What was did you think was misprinted?
So there's a 5 here with a tab, and I thought it was a misprint of the F, but then I found the F, which would imply that that 5 is just for the numpad, a numpad if you had one.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so gonna leave that there. Okay, so that's done. Now we need our spacebar, which in the case of this keyboard, you can only have a 6.25U. And I am of the people who like to invert their spacebars. So effectively just turn it upside down so that it's sloped downward, essentially. I like that kind of look. Ooh. That's an interesting tolerance issue. I don't know if you guys can notice in the just what we just saw, but for for some reason the spacebar was actually contacting the bottom of the board, which would imply a clearance issue with either the chassis, the plate. I fucked up somewhere, possibly. I doubt it, but let's see if maybe that gets fixed without inverting the spacebar. Maybe inverting the spacebar is what caused that tolerance issue. Yeah, so I guess this keyboard doesn't like inverted space-bars. Okay, tolerance issue completed. So now the bottom row is all 1 1/4 keys right here, right next to the spacebar. So we're gonna do Alt Super Control, Alt Super. Can you see everything pretty well, Jay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Alt Super Control, and then on the other side, Alt. Same thing, we're gonna do Alt Super Control, but let me see if I have any keys that are sort of not exactly supers. Anything that kind of looks cool, anything that has a special, nope. No special keys on this set. All right, so we're just gonna use Alt Super Control both sides. We're gonna make it symmetrical. Okay. Now all that's left is arrow keys. And then the top right row, which is insert, delete, page up, page down. I'm really liking the green on the white on the gold. It's coming together very nicely.
What is that next to the control key?
Oh, what, the super?
Yeah.
So super is a term that's used for, I'd get a car in the color of these keys. The forest, yeah, it's a very nice green. Super is what in Windows is the Windows key. The reason why it refers to super is because these are technically universal keycaps, right? They're used for any mechanical key switch, but you might not be using Windows. You might be using Linux. In Linux, that's where the term comes from. That's where the super term specifically comes from, but it performs the same function.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So then we have insert. All right. Delete. Page up, page down. All right. Let me re-plug in my key, my mouse.
We getting a test run?
Yes. I just wanted to reconnect my mouse really quickly. Okay. Let me just quickly show you guys. Hold up. Sorry about that. Here we are. Completed Ikki68. Let me very quickly just do that.
It is very pretty. I would totally eat it. It looks like it tastes so good, dude.
Take a bite out of it. See how? Let me know how it is.
I would if I could.
Okay, let me just very quickly make some space here. Get everything out of the way. Move this over because I need a wrist rest to type. Oh, it has LEDs! Huh.
Ooh.
Who would have thunk that one? I did not know this had LEDs on it. Oh, I'm fucking stupid. This is the Ikki68 Aurora. Yes, it does have LEDs. I completely just forgot that in my brain. Now, I'm going to leave the configuration of these LEDs up to the client. So I'm not going to currently play with them. Right now, you guys are going to get the opportunity to see me type on this keyboard. I am going to turn the mic down facing the keyboard so you guys can hopefully hear the keystrokes.
Anything yet? Oh.
You can hear them?
Some of them.
Really, only some of them? Let me check my noise gate again. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Alright. Alright. Can you hear them, Justin?
No.
At all?
Nope.
Interesting. Let me see if I turn up my gain, maybe?
Apparently Alicia can hear it.
Are you just really...
I'm so dumb.
What happened?
I have I have the stream muted. I'm not
Bro.
hearing it come through I'm not hearing it come through Discord, is it?
Bro!
I'm so sorry, dude.
Okay. Okay.
I'm so sorry. I was not thinking for a second there.
Alright, now I'm gonna do a quick typing test. I should probably turn off the music. There we go. All right. And that is the sights and sounds of the Ikki68.
I
Now,
give it a 10 out of 10.
me too. I love the way it feels. I don't hear a lot of rattle in the stabilizers. I don't hear any, actually. So I think with the way that the tolerance is shaped out, I think if I would do it again, I would definitely use 1.2s. But with the ways that the tolerance is shaped out, I didn't really hear much. And that's that on that, everybody. That's our first ever keyboard build on the channel. And to commemorate that, I want to look at the next one. So I'm going to real quick get the Geon works from the back, and I'll show you guys our next build. All right, this is a big ass box. So this is if I get the camera set up properly, this is the GeonWorks W1-8T. I had to pre-open it just now just to get my client's contact information out because he had the receipt here for the keyboard from the vendor. So again, for anyone unfamiliar, this is the GeonWorks W1-8T. Because I know Natan was asking for model earlier. I wasn't sure, so there you go. All right, so this is just packaging material, but I'll show you guys. This goes into the history of like GeonWorks as well as GMI, the Geon machinery industry and like their whole like founding and stuff. Okay. So that's that. This, I'm assuming, is accessories. We're not going to get into that. I'm just going to show you guys for tonight at least. I'm just going to show you guys the board, sort of tease you for next time, and hopefully keep you enticed enough to come back. If I can get this little sleeve out of here. Hold on, let me get this out first, and then remove the sleeve. Inside we have a giant... Oh, this shit is heavy. Says Geon. Move the accessories aside.
Oh, fancy shit right here.
This is the GeonWorks W1-8T.
It's fancy. Doesn't look as tasty as the other one, but very nice.
All right. And with that, I'm going to call it on the stream. Thank everyone for watching. Natan, I'm not sure if you're still here, but hopefully that keeps you enticed enough to come back next time if you are. That's a nice little GeonWorks piece. Anyone who knows keyboards knows GeonWorks is one of the best in the business. Korean brand, very, very tight manufacturing tolerances, and they know how to make a keyboard. And so with that, I have to thank you guys so much for even stopping by. My first keyboard stream. I don't do keyboard streams. I've never done a keyboard stream before. And I very much appreciate you just taking the time to sit here and watch and sort of hear me and Jay sort of talk through life and figure things out and just get this keyboard built and make a beautiful product. And yeah, thank you to the client for enabling me to do these. I have 5 builds for this exact client to do. That was number 1. We have 4 more. And thank you to everyone for watching. You are the reason that I keep doing this, and I will keep doing this. And shout out to Alicia and Justin here, my 2 moderators, 2 of my best friends in real life, Mr. Squid. And yeah, have a good night, everybody.